Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time for the semifinals for the Risen Troving Ground Series right here on Risen 2. I will be your host for the evening, Ravishing Rabbit, the most ravishing man on the internet. And I'm joined here today for the very first time. I'm excited here, man, for these two very, very handsome boys besides me, Mr. Dean Rebel Fox and Lennon Mazzell White. How you doing, Lennon first?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Ready to kick off this weekend action here. We've got this one side of the semifinals bracket that is sure to be a banger.
Super excited to get into this game. We've been waiting all week because we had that 4-game stretch or 4-day stretch of just permanent games all day, and then out of nowhere, you're just going to take that away. My addiction hasn't been fed. I need more League of Legends, so I'm happy to get back into this.
I need my hit, and I need it right now here, man, because the next day after that Tuesday, I was sitting out lazy just thinking, I wonder what EGP is doing. You think they're scrimming?
What is It's a good question.
Exactly, sitting around waiting, and you know what? That leads me right into the matchup here for tonight, here, guys, which is going to be, Images Prodigy versus ANEW Blaze, and ANEW Blaze is a team which I did not think I would be saying within this bracket here, Rebel.
Yeah, I think it was incredible. They came out last week, had to play their sister team. Their sister team, ANEW, was considered the number 2 team in the tournament, coming in behind Solo Fide on the other side of the semifinal. And here they are in the actual semifinals, a place that I don't know that even ANEW, the organization, expected them to be. But I'm sure that they're happy to be here. I'm sure they're here to compete wholly. And the fact that they beat their sister team, one of the best teams in amateur, it goes to the fact that they can beat anybody on any day. And everybody can beat everybody on any day. So I'm excited to see what they have prepared for this game against EGP.
Strong statement. Anybody can beat anyone on any day. All right, okay. I mean, like it's a first. I know I could beat you on any day, but that's besides the point.
Wow.
That's besides the point. Meanwhile, their opponents here, the Lennon EGP, have been a top 3 team since the beginning of the entire Proving Ground circuit, and they're here to go ahead and claim their name to fame and prove that they deserve to be at the top. But do you think they will be?
They're looking like it. They are poised to go meet somebody, either Barrage or Solo Fide in the finals here, because they are this last remaining just powerhouse team that we've seen trudging through this tournament. And it's the final hope of the LCS developmental orgs. They are the last one standing here, the Risen tournament. So I'm hoping that they can show out for their representation here, and they have the tools to do so.
The tools you say now, when I think of tools, I think of screwdrivers, hammers, and maybe even
whatever you want.
It's blitzes u.gg have been my tools to try to be successful at the game. But when you speak of tools, Leonard, what do you mean?
Oh man, you just have Tomio already. I mean, first of all, the matchup itself in general for this series is going to be heavily reliant on the junglers. But Tomio in specific is this bright spot for me. We got to see him in scouting grounds. We've seen him develop over time. And now in the semifinals, trying to make a statement here in this series to show the other side of the bracket that they mean business, that they're not just some pushover, that maybe isn't the real finals in the semifinals, and that it will be whoever they go up against in the finals. So I think they have a lot to prove here, and they really need to make their mark on this one.
Now, for you, going over to you, Rebel, now for ANEW Blaze, the team without Fire, who've actually made it all to the top here. Like, absolutely fantastic across the board. I know all of us were watching their matches, and they showed up, and they showed out definitely against this team, which we were all talking about, too. Now, Lennon spoke about Tomio and their overall jungle matchup, too. Would you contend to say that the jungle for ANEW Blaze looks to have some screws looser, or is everything super tight in and ready to be hammered down?
It depends on which game you look at. You look the first game last week against their sister team, and ANEW, I think everybody looked like they had a little bit of screw loose as a 15-minute forfeit.
A little bit.
As the series continued, Link actually happened to bring out a very impressive Rengar pick that turned a couple of games in their favor, and then also the Graves game, just controlling every objective, was big. As we talked about, the jungle matchup's going to be huge here. Tomio is somebody we've had under the spotlight since he went to Scouting Grounds and had a phenomenal performance in Scouting Grounds. So now we get the chance to see what it is that Link used to be City Witty has a chance to do in that same situation where his team is likely going to be supporting him in the same state. And after last week, I heard a little bit of disrespect for Darkwings because you guys are like the team without Fire. Darkwings had some damn good games last week if you're going to talk about it. So I expect the two of them to be on point tonight.
Oh, I meant no disrespect at all, man. I'm just saying, Dark was a fantastic player. No one's saying that. I was trying to make the distinction. Look, bro. Look, watching that game too. You know how many times I had to see ANEW versus ANEW? Like, it was just and a question back and forth. Like, hey, man, who do you think is to get ANEW or ANEW? It's like, man, this is definitely an ANEW angle, right? So ANEW.
For sure.
But talking about the new angle here, the Rebel going ahead sticking with you too. Now, Darkwind, I'm sure, is not without his fault, as is his entire team, though. So, what do you think could be the downfall of the Blaze?
I feel like ANEW Blaze's one glaring weakness that we've seen exploited a couple of times, especially by top teams, is their
Mhm,
laning phase. Their laning phase tends to be a little bit more lax. It tends to be a little bit more reserved. They're
mhm,
very good in team fighting and they're very good at playing around their jungler. But when it comes to the individual lane states and the skill of the players, on occasion that tends to falter for this team, and especially against a squad like EGP, where they're bringing in some of the best talent. They've had all this work together and being able to punish lanes and do things like that, coupled with the ability to play together with one another and kind of work for those team fighting plays. I think
mhm.
it might be a little bit difficult during the laning phase. If EGP turns up the tempo early, they can have some real success.
I couldn't agree more with you on let go ahead and go into you next year though. On the side of EGP, back when shout out to back when they call Zenith here. What's gonna happen to them when Sturdy doesn't get his cannon? Will you be able to yell as loud?
I don't know. I'm sure there's something else he's gonna whip out. That man is insane. No, but I think the biggest weak point here is if you can get under the skin of Tomio early on, especially in these jungle skirmishes, that's where you find that they falter, where it doesn't transition as well. They're really heavily influenced by how well Tomio is doing earlier on and how his pathing is going. So
Mhm.
if Link can pull out some of those monstrous plays that we've seen him do and really go up against Tomio and try to prove something against them, I think that's where they will find the best bet. Otherwise than that, I mean, you just have to kind of go toe to toe with them. They're a strong team. They've got a lot of power points, but if you can fight them in these team fights and actually have some good positioning in there, that's another point where you can take them
See that keyword right there, fight and good positioning. Now, these are new words that I'm
in.
learning here right now. Here, so go ahead and bear with me as as a League of Legends player, though. But y'all, there is some fantastic points. Both of you do go and contend at the jungle matchup we want to watch, and I couldn't agree more.
Has to be.
Because exactly because as how the jungle has evolved, especially throughout the new season, has been fascinating to see based upon what picks really do thrive and which picks might go ahead and fall short. Now, Rebel, you were talking before about the Grace pick too and the Rengar as well. Do you find that we'll see like the same sort of aggressive type picks here today from Manu?
Oh, I'd love for the side here of ANEW Esports Blaze to come out swinging with something like that. Rengar, if you know anything about it, you go into lucidity boots, you go immediately into a lot of ability haste, and you just
Mhm.
walk anywhere you want because nobody's able to stand up to the power of a Rengar with like 50 ability power, 50% cooldown reduction, whatever you want to call it,
Sure.
in the earlier stages of the game. And taking over the jungle presence battle, I think, will be big because EGP, they've played around Tomio. That's kind of the strategy in the season before. Everybody was playing around him because that's how important the jungle role was. So if you're taking that out of the equation or winning that part of the equation, I think it's much simpler for ANEW Blaze to come out. So I would love to see them at least try something like the Rangar, like the Udyr into Nidalee specifically. I know you love that one yourself, Mr. Ravish, but something like that would be fun to watch.
Man, I'm just ready to go ahead and watch all these animals go at it, bro. Because look,
Damn.
because look, bro, when I think about technical prowess of a champion, when I think about skill cap, flexibility, pushed to the limit, I think about Udyr, right?
Okay. That was out of left field a little bit. I was expecting that one. I like it.
Look, top three on the board, right? Look, Jace,
No doubt.
Camille, maybe even up there, and Udyr is definitely top three here, man. It's a switching from bear stance to phoenix stance takes a lot out of me, bro. I don't know about you, Lennon.
True, true, true. I mean, it's really hard to just like scroll your hand across your keyboard a couple times back and forth and just walk at people. It's pretty intensive.
Tragically so, though. But speaking of picks, we're talking about on the side of ANEW Blaze, though. What are you expecting to see in terms of some picks for EGP?
I mean, obviously, you're looking at the aggressive style junglers. I know Tomio really liked the Lilia. He has pulled it out
Mhm.
here in the past, but I don't know if it's necessarily the place for it here in this one, especially against Link. So I'm looking towards those more aggressive picks. Maybe we'll see the Kindred. That would be kind of fun.
Sure.
I'm actually more interested, maybe a little bit of personal bias here, being an ADC player, but I'm just wanting to see these late game hyper carries come out from Shiro and Rahid. I mean, this is like an amazing ADC matchup. It's what to dream of. And I know we focused a lot about the junglers and how that's really going to influence it. And yes, it will. And then sometimes it's probably going to mean that these two ADCs don't really get to play the game, or one of them at least.
Mm.
But I think the development through the game is going to be so interesting because you have the heavy early focus on these power early jungle picks. And then you could go with these late game hyper carries. You get the build up through the game for these guys to really show up in team fights. So there's a lot to be excited about in this one, but I think that it's going to come up to those aggressive picks like the Kindreds, like these kinds of Graves, things like that for Tomio, and then looking for those hyper game carries.
So the question here is then, is you talked about this absolute dream matchup between both these ADCs. Now, as an ADC player yourself, who would you rather go up against? Say to go
Oh
ahead,
my
be
God, you
planted
can't
in
do
this
that to
lane.
me. Oh
Who
man.
who are you
Can I
be
go
like,
up against
okay.
both of them since it's a dual lane? No, I don't know. I just really like screaming Space Dad Shiro, so I would like to go get Space Dad Shiro because that way, if I'm getting trashed, I could be like, "Dang it, Space Dad Shiro!" Or if I'm doing really well, I could use it the other way around. So I
Oh,
love you, Raheen. I think you're an amazing player as well, but the
yeah.
name just has to do it for me.
Now the question is here then, our Rebel, would you be such a person to go ahead and abandon your lane partner because your name wasn't cool enough?
Oh, absolutely not. First off,
Absolutely
I have
not.
history with Raheen. I've known him for a very long time, back when he was playing in UCL and some of the other tournaments. I don't know. I mentioned this the last time I broadcasted for him. I used to call him a hands player because oftentimes he was one of the most mechanically gifted players I'd seen, but I had no idea if there was anything in his brain sometimes. And so I called him a hands player because he's one of the best. That bleeds over into this topic we're discussing. When it comes to those late game team fights, these are two of the best ADCs you will find in the league. They're not playing anything lane aggressive. They're not going for Misfortune. They're not doing something basic. They're going for Samira. They're going for Kaisa, and they're going to play front to back, and they're going to whoop you. That's what they're going to do in that late game situation. So if we get to that point, we get to that 40-minute mark, and it's going to come down to the ADC battle, that's where the excitement's going to come in. That's when my voice is going. That's when Maisel voice is going to be gone. We're going to have to pull Ravage in as a third caster because we won't have anything left.
Hey man, go ahead and put me in here. I can just go ahead and take
Put
them
me in,
steaks.
coach.
Exactly. I'm ready to go ahead, yell on the mic, take them steaks, and say, "Ahoy!" I'm ready. It's past all that here. Now, Rebel, you did go ahead and talk about when the Kaisha Samira pick as well. I find that both these ADC picks, really do go ahead and hit their stride right around the 2-item mark too, and both of them excel, especially in those mid-game team fights, and have although they don't really excel in like to be like, shoot from long range like a Jin, who just like be across the map and just pop. Okay, that's it. That's really all it takes for him to go ahead and do that. But within the two, now Len, I know you yourself have had some trouble with Samira picks and being cursed whenever you watch them.
True, you're
Now
not
tell
wrong.
me, have you broken the curse of Samira?
I'd say it's more so like 50-50 at this point. It was
Okay,
really rough
okay,
when she was first
okay.
coming out, but no, it's better now. Especially when they actually pick things that go with it. It's the biggest thing.
Now, as of right now, I do hear we are all about ready to go ahead and get into draft here in just a couple of seconds. Now, Reb, I'll go ahead and ask you here as well here. Now, in the percentage of Kaisas that you've seen, how many out of them that you've actually watched, you've been like, I wouldn't mind supporting you?
All of them. You have no idea. These people are way better than me. You have to understand. Like, if these people are playing solo queue with me, they are carrying me anytime. I will play Yumi, and I will sit on them so they get free fat or stacks if they want, and just give them the free stat block anytime. And literally carry me beyond gold. That's all I'm asking for.
You know what? I would like for absolutely nothing more as well. You see the bands already coming in here, Mazel.
They are indeed. We have EGP on the blue side. We have a new Blaze on the red side. We're already getting through the full first phase pretty much, and getting some very targeted picks, especially. We got the Kaisa obviously coming out, that ADC matchup we were highlighting, the Alistar to go with it, the Olaf as well, the Talia, the Thresh, and the Graves. Two very nice jungle picks right now, and as well as that nice support to set you up for even more initiation.
Now, with the Kaisa Alistar, now I do like to go ahead and call that like the Olaf purple combo. Just see it just screams magenta, because considering how purple both these picks are and how well they go into each other. But EGP starting off the game hot by bringing out the Hecarim right? That B1 too. So already saying to themselves, hey man, we're gonna go ahead and power farm and we're gonna gank your lanes, Rebel.
Yes, they do. And it's interesting to me because, again, we talked about how Kaiser Samira probably has a lot of priority in this series, and Samira didn't come first overall. Oftentimes, if you go Samira B1, you end up pigeonholing your composition into something low range and very engage heavy, forcing yourself into the situation where you have to win out early. EGP not falling to that victim to that. Hecarim been rising in priority, doing quite a bit of fantastic work here in this competitive scene in amateur and tier 2 tournaments. And so here's the priority. They couple that with the Samira for some amazing team fighting. And then a fantastic top lane blind pick as well. EGP coming out swinging with his drafting right now.
Leonard, I can hear you absolutely foaming at the mouth with what you're seeing. Tell me about this, man.
I get to yell at video games with big stuff happening. No, I'm gonna actually talk about this for a second. But seriously, it's a trend that we've been seeing so much of recently. You can see why. It's the global map pressure. It's being able to play around side lanes, being able to maneuver around these big decisive points around the map. And ANEW Blazer coming out swinging themselves with the Pantheon, the Galio, being able to have that presence. Now the Poppy, kind of awkward, but I like it because you have that presence there with her, and sometimes a little bit unstoppable into the Camille as well. The Seraphine does help out the Hecarim a ton, and so both teams are coming out in game number 1 with what they want to come out with.
Now, don't sleep on this Poppy pick, Cleo, because I knew we did bring this out in this game. Now, the Poppy Camille matchup. Yeah, it's not like. Okay, look, hear this. Look, guys, look, I've been in this matchup a fair amount. I'm a Poppy player, and everybody plays Camille, and I know for some reason. But look, as a tank player too, like Poppy's such a fantastic going into the Camille S. She just needs those core few items, you know, just a Thornmail along with the along with the Sunfire, and then suddenly she's gonna be good to go here. As I say that. Okay, so let's go ahead and count how many ADC bans we have.
Yeah,
a 1, a 2, a 3.
There are 5 of them on the board right now, which is crazy. All team fighting ADCs as well.
Oh, they are. Like, exactly. And I love it because that's exactly where the rest of the picks were coming down to. These teams are feeling the draft right now. I feel like we're going to get a really awesome development here for this first game. The Xayah, though, that's interesting.
Okay, no, I've seen the Xayah pick, you know, across the pond in the LPL and LCK as well, and even I think I saw once in Europe. It's not that good. It is. No, but with all the ADC bans coming through, you are kind of stuck for choices. As I mean, they're really stuck for choices. They bring out the Senna or the. Okay, Rebel.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, so I'll try to break this down as best as possible. You're running out of any team fighting ADCs or anything that can put pressure forward if you're on the side of EGP. They go ahead and grab Xayah, which makes it difficult. Already, Poppy is not going to make it easy for Camille to get into the backline, and Xayah's ultimate defends you from Hecarim, and that means that you're going to have to rely on Seraphine and Orianna quite a bit, and that's the defense you're looking for. So what they want is a little bit more lane dominance. They go with Seraphine, Senna. I wouldn't be shocked to see a little bit more of a starving Senna type build where you put Seraphine as the farmer in the bot side. Orianna in the mid just to link together some really, really good AoE burst damage and burst combo to put into ANEW Blaze's composition.
Yeah, I think I really am enjoying the Victor to round out Blaze, though. I think that one's going to be a nice pick. The Orianna can take advantage of it sometimes, though, we've seen in the past, but I think this Dark Wings versus Aspect matchup is going to be, although we've talked about like, oh my god, it's all about the jungle matchup and it's talking about late game for the ADCs. I still think Dark Wings and Aspect are going to have a lot to say in this one. How that mid stabilizes, how that volatility kind of works out and spreads into the rest of the map is always super important, especially around the mid lane and how they like to play it. The roams from the mid lane to the side lanes can be huge, and we have some pieces here to allow that.
Now, consider right now, you guys are talking about a lot about the roams though, but already, you know, with the Pantheon, with the Gallios too, along with this 2 global ultimates, I'd be very scared if I was on the side of EGP. So let's say, because they think, hey man, I'm all the way top lane, I'm fine, and then suddenly you just see 2 big circles on top of you, and you're like, well, never mind. It's suddenly it seems that as well I'm getting dove upon though.
All I can think of every time I see Pantheon's ulti is Smack singing in my ear. Oh, that's all I can hear every time. I love it. It makes me want to like literally just main Pantheon.
I mean, Pantheon's really good. I think he's actually fantastic pick. because okay, hear me out here too, man. I played Pantheon mid and top a fair amount, and especially against like the overall control mages like the Syndra. I think he's great. I think he's super solid, but I don't think we're seeing this. I don't think we're seeing like the Pantheon mid, obviously. It's Pantheon support, which is I mean, like, it's okay, it's fine, I guess. If you have to pick him, I guess you can, Rebel. Okay. But
Yeah.
sorry, I was gonna say,
you were insinuating that we had Pantheon support. Is that what you said?
are we not?
I don't think so. It's Pantheon jungle, my man. It's gonna be Galio supporter alongside the Zaya.
See, you say that here, though, right? But
You
go ahead, hear me
say
out here. Because look, this is what I believe in my heart of hearts here, Rebel. Look, man, I think ANEW are here to go ahead and change up the script on every single one of us, right? I think they're throwing it back with the Poppy jungle.
Sure.
So I'm not gonna. I guess I'm just gonna pull back the veil a little bit. But
I don't wish to rain on your parade.
We're in
watching
the
this
pinks
happen
and bands
in
and,
lobby right now, and
where
unfortunately,
gonna
it's
go.
Pantheon jungle.
No, I love your
Okay.
optimism though, Radish. I mean, it's a great thing, but
Fantastic.
I like the fact that Alarim, after having this long day of just being an amazing broadcaster on the analyst desk, he's able to have this Poppy to potentially have a fun game for himself.
Okay. See now, I see your enthusiasm and raise you another possibility, gentlemen.
Okay.
Think about it like this. I think ANEW know that they're coming into this as the underdogs, right? But would change up the game plan so much here. And the idea is, I'll tell you what. They're gonna go ahead and switch their lanes.
Okay. I see
Nobody
that.
will
Yes.
back here. So that way it goes along with my narrative and my narrative only.
Perfect. Yes.
Gotta follow the Ravish narrative 100%. I just looking at this comp holistically with, unfortunately, the Pantheon jungle before anything. If they switch in game, I'll give you all the credit in the world because you predicted it and nobody else would. I'll give you that all the day. But I do really like what the side of ANEW Blaze has done here because they've got strong enough lanes to get them through to the team fighting phase where you've got the Poppy that can't really get aggressed on by the Camille for the most part, coupled with Pantheon Galio in the jungle and then in the support position to move around the map as best as possible. It's a very defensive composition as opposed to being offensive. They want to respond to any plays being made by EGP as fast as possible or snowball the Zaya and the Victor ahead. Either way, they're getting into the mid-late game, hopefully with a very strong set of carries, and you're playing into the likes of Senna and Orianna, who do pretty well in the late game. But again, with the Poppy in the way, with the Galio, the Pantheon, it is difficult for them to get a pure engagement into the Zaya outside of something surprising like Out of Vision or something along those lines. So ANEW Blaze, to me, they've got a lot of angles covered with what they've drafted here so far.
Now with that though, Leonard, as you go ahead, shortly head down to break here, my brother, do you have any final thoughts to the composition that you see in front of your screen?
I'm just really interested at how this early game is going to go for both sides. I think you have a lot of late game strength. We've obviously seen that these teams do like to get to that point, but I want to see Link and I want to see Tomio butt heads today, and I want to see some fireworks.
You know what? It's fireworks are always a very fun time, unless you're sitting like late at night on a Tuesday. You're like, it's not.
Hey, LA, we get fireworks every night, so it's fine.
I respect it. It's, you know what, people are always having a good time in LA, and I don't see why. It's
I don't either, and I live here. But anyways.
Personally, for me here, gentlemen, I'm gonna be very, very focused on how far the Victor can like really go ahead and scale and how much time he has in lane. Now, before we see Darkwings just get absolutely bullied upon you and get ganked over and over to make sure he gets shut down and try to get as much priority they can for the side of EGP. So we'll see if they're able to do so and make anybody cry and rage quit. Now, with that all being said, we're gonna go ahead and do a very, very short break as you load into the game. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back right here on Risen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have hit the rift for the Risen Champions League semifinals matchup between Evil Genius Prodigies and ANEW Blaze. We will see who gets to meet either Barrage or Solafide in the finals and who gets to gather up some more points.
Getting those points, I mean, for a long time, we had no idea what they even meant. But being able to work your way to proving grounds is the end goal for all of these teams. One win here, one win there, one extra win, one finals can make the difference between whether you get seeded against one of the best teams, against one of the LCS Academy teams, or whether you actually get a chance to play against some of the other amateur teams to make it in. So every game, every series from this point forward, you always want to take these. And ANEW Blaze knows that better than anybody. They've already made it further than I think a lot of teams would have thought that they would have made it. If they can make another shocking upset against EGP, I think that would be a huge boon to their confidence.
I was just so proud of them that they were able to take down the ANEW roster, the new main roster. And I think, I mean, first of all, it's a testament to how cool it is that ANEW are able to get 3 rosters in and have them have different varying levels of success, right? But to be able to have 2 in the quarterfinals go up against each other, have like a decent competition as well, going to 4 games and having the B roster, so to speak, be the ones that come out victorious is a cool story in itself. So yeah, I've been really proud of this squad up until this point. I think they have a lot to prove still, which I'm hoping to see tonight.
I agree. I'm really excited also to see what is the first of the tech that I've heard very, very small inklings about.
Don't you talk about this dark tech. Don't you do it, Rebel.
I have to talk about this, unfortunately. It is going to be Shiro, who's playing not just Fasting Senna, which I made mention of. It's actually going to be Moonstaff Fasting Senna. Already has the Spell Thieves for some additional AP. You couple it with Mist, who's going to be playing the Seraphine, who's going to be taking most of the farm. This lane is already ridiculously strong if they go double Moonstaff. Couple that with the fact that this Senna, if you're getting enough souls, you're going to be a massive damage dealer on your own. This could be huge for the later stages of the game.
Yeah, it really could. We remember back in the day, it feels like forever ago now, that Senna was just such a mainstay. And just seeing those laser beams hit people in like the late game is just terrifying. I mean, half your health goes down. You have no idea how they connected that auto attack. But until then, they need to play decently safe. I feel like the lane of Breezy and Raheem do have a lot of kill pressure on them if they can catch out one of these squishy members. But the play is you got to keep poking. You got to keep that lane distance away.
And part of that also comes down to, like, you're looking across from a Pantheon and a Galio, which means there is a good amount of TC there to help put your team in that position to actually get that kill goal. And good on them. They actually get this immediate shove in the second, third wave. Find that ward. Okay, here we go.
It was a really good ward, though, by Mist and Shiro there to spot out the gank. But, hey, you see the idea from Link, and you got to appreciate it. A lot of damage returned by Shiro with that distance.
Okay. They were getting a little bit of skirmishing everywhere. Yeah, I love the fact that they were able to find that ward, the fact that Link here in the jungle was able to spot it out, get that off the map, and they still got a great trade into Mist, preventing him from being able to actually step back in the lane. He had to back, so they're going to be able to shove in a wave, maybe get a little bit better of a back timing here against his opposition for Raheem.
Starting off pretty well. Breezy did use the Ignite. The heal was used on the side of Shiro, so I'll have to keep an eye on those couple summoner spells being burned, but nothing out of the ordinary for an early trade. You know, sometimes you just like to burn a little extra. The question for me now is, we've seen the early machinations of Link and his squad right now. Now, Tomia, what is the response? And it looks like it's going to be towards top lane.
Definitely looks like it. In fact, actually, Lorm's in quite a bit of trouble here.
He is Poppy. He's fine, right? Right?
I think that might have been it.
There. Oh, nice. Little knockback there. Alorm getting very low. W flash forward. It's going to be first blood for Surdy, the man, the myth, the legend. He did burn flash, but that's 1-0 up now for EGP.
And you gotta love that. That had to be so close. I know what Alorm was thinking there, that if he's able to stay away from Tomio on that dash and he doesn't prevent him from getting behind, he's fine. He doesn't have to burn flash, doesn't have to do anything. But because he let Tomio get the right angle, just barely shove him back, has to burn the flash, and that isn't even enough to get him through. So now, what was a really good lane here for the Poppy, or at least one that you can sandbag, does go a little bit of advantage into the favor of Surty. It's not going to be huge. Again, when you start to get some of the armor, it comes back to Poppy a little bit. But again, this early lane phase isn't particularly fun either way.
And while that all was happening, actually, we got to see Breezy make a little roam towards mid. He was getting trying to get something going mid. Wasn't able to find aspect because he was able to play pretty safely. But that's the kind of stuff you're looking for from Breezy. You're trying to get this Galio to help the team.
I agree. I'm actually curious. We talked a little bit with these teams coming into this week about what kind of preparations were made, and we heard some inklings about whether or not ANEW Blaze actually had anything prepared or they had run through scrims or anything like that, which is why maybe you're seeing something like the Xayah to fit into the place of where a Samira or a Kai'Sa would fit in. And on the other side, they've prepared this Moonstaff Senna, something again, this is the first time I'm seeing it in competitive. I knew about it, but I haven't actually seen it before right now.
It is going to be interesting. I, for one, am not the biggest fan, but you know, as I always say, you do you. You know, it's fine. Everything's fine when you see Seraphine and these cheese lanes in bot lane that just dominate you. But so far, Rahid and Breezy are proving me happy. They're making sure that they haven't been put down super far yet.
That they haven't. You're going to get quite a bit of ambient gold as the lane continues. The more important thing to track also is the number of stacks on the Senna, because if you recall, it gives her very good stacks. I think it's 0.75 damage per thing. Your auto attacks are going to start to hit very hard eventually. Couple that with the fact that, like, if you go Moonstaff, you have that extra AP for your heals, which get advanced. Something very underrated about Senna is that healing ability. You could even, if you really wanted to, go for Ardent, although in this game it's not good in the slightest, so I really don't expect that to come through. But the rest of the build after that, I think, is plenty adaptable. So I'm curious what happens right after that.
And we do see both junglers floating around that dragon pit, but looks like neither one is going to commit too heavily. It looks like they're both going to look towards mid. Ooh, flash from Darkwings. Nice. Nicely done. If he would have gotten hit by that shockwave, it definitely would have meant a lot more trouble coming his way, but he is able to expertly get away.
Yeah, Flash is out of that situation. The Victor is okay in the laning phase up against the Orianna to start things off, and so it's an attempt by Tomio and a response by Link in this jungle to make sure he gets bunted down. But without Flash and without wave priority here for Darkwings quite yet, Hecarim's actually hovering around topside. I'm curious if the invade was going to come through at any point, but
he's going back.
No. Oh, baby.
He's going back for Darkwings. He's got a decent amount of damage. He does have the ulti. Nice little stuff.
Oh,
barely got trapped in it. Good stuff from Darkwings. This is going to get him away from the gank of Tomio.
Really good stuff from Darkwings right there. Again, without Flash, it's terrifying to see a Hecarim, especially one with Sheen this early in the game. Means he can do a lot of burst damage, but here we are, Darkwings able to get away from that gank. Very well played by the jungle.
It is indeed, and see what they want to set up further. I feel kind of bad. You know, Alarim's had a long day. And he's getting oppressed on by Surdy up here. He's got his Camille. I want to see Alarim succeed. He's doing so well in the broadcast, Rebel.
Yeah, I mean, coming after a day of talking about League of Legends directly into playing, give him a free pass. Yeah. It could be helpful for him, but I'm sure he still enjoys playing League of Legends. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on this team. And maybe a day of talking about professional play where he was existed, maybe it just kind of rekindled his fire to actually come in. I know if I had to talk about it
cool
all day,
perspectives, right?
Yeah.
Giving it's giving a completely different perspective to the League of Legends that you play, and I think it's super cool. But so far, we'll have to revisit this because top lane hasn't been too crazy.
Yeah, in fact, actually, bot side control with a ridiculous amount of warding in the river, preventing Tomio from making any attempt towards this Kai'Sa, or my apologies, Xayah. And again, defending this Xayah pick, making sure that you're able to get it into the team fighting phase is the most important part of this composition. That's where Raheem really starts to shine. Now they've gotten themselves the first Drake as well. So you buy not only more time for yourself towards that Dragon Soul, but you also have that first Drake under your belt so you can stall for more time later. So I really, really like this early Dragon take off the protection they're already giving to Rahid on bot side, and no Rift Herald top side because there wasn't a play. That ward actually dropped by Alorum in the river prevents them from walking directly into the pit and taking that.
Aspect trying to commit here, trying to get something going, but I don't know if that's the play. Does use a shockwave onto Darkwings, has Tomio right behind him. Devastating charge is going to be big. The execute goes through, and here comes the Galio as well, as Tomio has to run away while his teammate died.
I don't know what Aspect was doing there. I'm assuming he was attempting to challenge the positioning of Darkwings as he walked back into the laning phase from River, but it looked like the wraparound coming in from Link was enough to get him caught into the wrong position. I don't think we've actually given enough respect to these matchup in the mid lane. They are two insanely good mid laners that haven't ever really made a name at scouting grounds or anything like that. So a lot of people, if you haven't seen a bunch of amateur, you wouldn't really know them, but they're very good. What?
Alarum! He almost got it with the Dottie Shadow. That was so close, but no, not gonna go through. That was a really clean play from Alarum, forcing Surdy to kind of freak out for a second.
Yeah, I think at some point there, Surdy intended to drop tower aggro, but he didn't. He actually ended up continuing to take it, which ramps up the shot damage, and that's
Yeah.
why he panicked and had to flash immediately after ulting, because he was worried that he was going to end up taking one of those tower shots. Too many for the fight to come through. Now in the bot lane.
I really wanted to get some damage here on that trade. Maybe a little bit too much so, but nice feather recall is going to get missed, caught out with a decent amount of damage. Those laser shots doing some work for Shiro, though. Raheem getting brought down pretty low, and you just got to think about the healing that Mist and Shiro have. They're going to be able to get right back up, and that trading is going to be on the worst side for a new Blaze.
Very easily. And what happened, I think, there was Raheen was able to tag someone with a Q. It burnt his lethal tempo, and so he didn't have the auto attack trade speed in order to actually take that trade. If he's got lethal tempo to start that, he definitely drops down feathers, throws an E in, and maybe even ultimates to make sure that they have no escape route with something like their flash. But because he loses that lethal tempo, can't throw more than an auto or two in, and just decides to back off. They shove this wave, punishing a little bit, getting a little bit back into their pockets, making sure that they can deny a few minions, a little bit of XP here and there, and they're going to come back to lane effectively relatively even, at least, between the two.
Yeah, it's been a topsy-turvy in terms of where we've seen the action, topsy-turvy, but in terms of where we're at right now in state of the game, it's been pretty even. Now we get to see EGP's focus towards the Rift Herald play at 11 minutes, 20 seconds. They are going to be able to pick this up. Now the question is, where do they want to go with it? There was some renewed focus towards that area for a new Blaze, as well as they use a lot in the mid lane. Try to catch out Alarim here. Poor dude.
Oh my
Gonna get the encore, the onslaught of shadows. Just throw him everything towards him. They are gonna kill Alarim. They are gonna use this Rift Herald, or at least try to. They have some trouble brewing though. They've got 4 members on their way up.
They do. They're sieging up on this tower. Rift Herald's gonna get dropped, and they definitely want this entire tower. GP's gonna come in too. They're just hard committing to this.
They are. The tower's gonna go down after the charge goes through, and then it's gonna be a new Blaze in a weird predicament now. They're gonna get the full engage there. See if they can do the damage. The heroic entrance goes in, nice damage down, but the Dawning Shadow is going to help save a lot there as Alarim is finally in the fight from the TP. There's still some members alive. They've lost Tomio though. Breezy forced to flash over the wall. Now it's all looking like an EGP win as they're able to take 4 kills, leaving Alarim all by his lonesome in the top side where he has not had some fun.
And there's so much that happened in this last little bit of time, but the amount of damage that was just caused here from the side of EGP not only gives them this massive 4,000 gold advantage, but that's a huge swing of tempo in this game. I felt like there was a lot of potential for a new Blaze to come back from what just happened. All they did was lose a Rift Herald. They didn't have much else, but because Darkwing steps up in the mid lane and everyone else is seen in rotation towards bot, they immediately throw themselves, EG that is, with Rift Herald at top tower. No cover for Lauren means he gets died with relative ease. They burn quite a few ultimates for it. Meaning, I mean, they're going to take a 5-on-4, but you have to think that, you know, a new Blaze came out thinking they were going to have more ultimates, have more pressure, but they end up not winning the fight because nobody's there to block Surti from the backline. So hugely played plays by Surti and everybody on the side of EGP.
At that point, I'm just seeing, like, the black belt master just sitting there in the middle of everybody and doing the little finger flick. Bring it. Because, like, they didn't move. They didn't care. They knew. They dropped the Herald. They were standing their ground. That tower was not going to last long. I just love that confidence coming out from EGP.
Yeah, and they have enough members of this team, and especially enough of an AoE team fight with Orianna and the likes, to be able to make that play happen when you're trying to encroach on their territory, especially where they were, just talking about where they were, like, on the map. That tri-brush and that wall to come in towards that tower is such a small space. Trying to walk into a Hecarim and an Orianna in that small space is not a simple thing to do, and so I really love the way they just use the tactics and the architecture of the map to actually give themselves that very simple fight win.
And they transitioned that into a dragon pickup for themselves. They got their first dragon. It will be an Infernal Dragon. That means we have the Ocean Soul on the Rift. We got extra bushes, Rebel, for some sneaky plays potentially.
Yeah, the overextension there by the side of earlier that is. Okay, actually, we got to play on the left side.
Mist is like, oh, I'm getting out of here. I'm done. Chaos Storm came out. The Encore's going to get it. It hits it as Darkwings gets really low. Now Meteos is here too. The TP was stopped. Dottie Shadow's still going to come across. Aspect was able to get 1 kill. Link going to get ulted too. Mist gets his own. 2 members coming across the wall here. Can they pick anything up? The Feather Recall is going to be really nice here. And Shiro goes down. They are able to return 1 kill for it, but pressure still stands in the bot lane, and Surti is still very strong on the top side too.
Yeah, this is starting to become a problem now where you're able to get a dive off here onto Darkwings and onto Link, so you don't have either of those members here to defend the tower. And yes, you have the opposite side play where Surti is just kind of bullying off Alarim as much as he wants because he's not really there. No one's here to help him. No one's here to help take advantage of the CC coming through. It feels really heavily like there's never a response from the pressure that's being put on by EGP. They make a play and there's no vision control. There's no kind of map presence. There's no objective take. There's nothing there for the side of ANEW Blaze, or at least they're struggling to find it.
Yeah, it's all about trying to find the pieces that flow together best and at what moments in the game. And right now with the pressure that's been just kind of had in the top lane this entire time, it's so much easier for EGP to move around the rest of the map. We've seen that time and time again here in the new season, not preseason anymore. But the fact of the matter is, you still do have some serious lethality coming out from the side of ANEW Blaze, especially looking at Link. We've already seen him being able to set some of these plays up, but the AoE, the damage that comes into those team fights, we highlighted it time and time again already, and this is just game number 1, but this team comp is set up for those big late game fights. They just haven't gotten to one of those points yet, and they've been kind of caught off kilter a little bit.
If the damage is kind of getting outpaced as well, because what you got still is the Senna, who's going to have quite a bit of damage. You've got your Orianna, who's scaling right alongside the Victor, alongside that Xayah, and that's not even the main damage source so far from the side of EGP, where they've got Sir T scaling ahead. He's what, 2,000, 3,000 gold ahead, something like that from Alarim, and Tomio also doing quite a bit. Already has the Divine Sunder completed. They weren't able to slow down the Hecarim, so now these team fights, despite the fact that when you get to late game with Victor and with Xayah, you should be able to take some victories depending on how you play out the fight. Right now, that's not going to be the case simply because of how powerful everybody else is on the team outside of the carries here for EGP.
And honestly, the lane setup here for EGP is just perfect, right? You just have the Seraphine Senna farming around in bot lane, just making sure that they can be mobile when they need to be. You have the side lane setting up now. Aspect doing okay in the side lane. Maybe not exactly where he wants to be against Darkwings, but it is the matchup they've gotten. But the thing right now is you're setting yourself up for Tomio to really be this I was gonna say kindled gem, but I feel like it doesn't work too much. This catalyst that goes for his team, and we've already seen it. And now he's just bush play.
I don't like this. Yeah. Okay. So I'm in a weird position right now, and I think they're just gonna end up killing Breezy if he's not careful.
Oh, he didn't get the other side of it. Oh, but he's still like the flash. That feels so bad. Oh no.
Okay, so there's a bit of pressure on the map here, but there were a couple of redeploys coming from base. Oh goodness.
Oh no. Flash, he's right on the outside of the Hextech ultimate, but nice ulti. They're still committing. Alarim, no.
This is sorry. Oh yeah, I think he's just dead right here.
No, yep, he's gonna walk straight into Shiro. A little bit of damage coming through. Aspect is actually the one who gets the kill, and he goes on a killing spree.
This was crazy because like there were redeploys coming out, there was no vision on top side, and so because Surti was pushed up so far, they had Miz presence and Darkwings was in bot lane. If they put all 5 members when you're winning into the top side of the map, you're able to overload it, and that's exactly what just happened. When you're trying to walk through the jungle, trying to put down vision, if they've got 5 members and all of their members are more powerful than all of your members, you will lose, and that's exactly what just happened. Breezy got checked by it, Alarim got checked by it. They just put down vision, set up around Rift Herald or whatever they want to do. They're controlling this top side to get red buff as well. They can just walk to Rift Herald anytime they want, even rotate into Dragon if they absolutely need to. There's so much tempo that just got gained off the back of that play, just overstepping from Breezy and Alarin.
And another good call, I feel like, from the side of EGP was the fact that Aspect did just kind of leave that outer tower on the bot side to go, and Darkwings bought in. He went for it. He went even for some damage on the tier 2 too, and then that meant that Aspect was able to join the fight and be a little bit integral in that. So I think so far it's just been really clean calls from EGP that impressed me.
Yeah, I do like this, though. So on the counter to everything that's been happening here from the side of EGP, they're set up in the river, but you can't really fight for this here if you're on the side of ANEW Blaze. So they're like, okay, let's set up around this bot lane. Let's make sure that they can't get this dragon. But, like, who's going to stop them from getting this dragon? Like, who's actually going to stand in their path and tell them that they can't do it? I don't think anyone, especially with Alarim not being in the fight to start with. This is
it was a good, like, attempt of a setup. Yeah, it was like they were just puffing and puffing, but in the end they were not able to do anything for it. They did get top lane tower. Alarim getting some gold there.
You get a little bit because it is a full commitment from the side of EGP directly towards this dragon. You don't have to worry too much. If they break this team apart, that's when there's maybe some aggression that can come out from the Xayah in the proper team fight. Dark Wings can start to put out damage. But if you got 5 members there, I think you're willing to take second dragon for top tower, because now you can also redeploy into top river, look around this Baron pit to try to control top side, and look to shove in from there as your Camille splits bot side, which is where CRT is right now.
Yep, indeed. I do not feel that Raheen is going to have a good time. I was going to say, I don't know how long this is going to last for Raheen down there, because I don't think that's fun shenanigans to be had against Surdy, who is 3 levels above the ADC, and the tower is about to die. Luckily, it's a Xayah, so, just farming away with the feather.
And the one thing about EGP's composition is that they don't take the Baron very quickly. In fact, they take it almost like demonstrously slowly with a non-AD Senna, a Seraphine, and then you've got a Hecarim, so there's no DPS out of there. It's not Graves, it's not Kindred. Certi is really the only one who takes it consistently. So you're never going to see them make a rotation towards this Baron buff unless they're absolutely certain that they can win a fight, which they're almost towards, but that's the case.
Why is Shiro... He's already at 80 stacks at 21 minutes.
Yeah. Pretty crazy, right?
That's so much. That's so much. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's nearly,
what is that, nearly
60 attack damage. Yeah, something like nearly 60 attack damage. I think at least 60% crit, something like that.
It's almost 60 attack damage, 75 range, and 30% crit. He hasn't hit the 80 mark though, so the next one will bump it up.
Yeah. That's
But
insane.
yeah, that's just dirty, dude. That is just dirty.
And he's built Moonstone with Lucidity boots alongside Seraphine, who's in the same
I don't need to
mode.
know this.
So they're on double Moonstone, and they will be on double Staff of Flowing Water soon enough. Eventually, Aspect is going to be this terrifying force of nature, because he could have built, he probably could have built full tank with these 2 supporting him and still done all the damage he needed to.
Oh, Alarin was so close to getting that wall knocked, but he's gonna take a lot of damage for it instead. Let's see if he can get some more. Here comes the Grand Starfall. Surdy running away now.
Oh, that angle!
I like it. Alarin getting low, but everybody's committing to help him. It's the shutdown going over. Alarin, I appreciate that. They do have to find out what they're gonna do here, though. It looks like they're all just beelining towards this objective, but Baron is at 3,000 health. What can you do? Raheen is the one stepping up here. Darkwing's here as well. They do get Alarin into the pit. Featherstorm going to come out. Big Feather Recall can follow. That's going to be stolen away. Link is able to get the Baron. The fight to follow. Raheen flashes away. He doesn't survive, though. Link is going to get the kill onto Aspect, and things change at the drop of a hat.
What did I tell you? I told you, if you set up around this Baron buff, you're on the side of the EGP, you're doing things wrong. And they think, okay, we can take this. 3 members commit to bot side to try to get that kill up against their T. They find it, but then the rotation comes out too fast because they don't take this Baron quickly whatsoever. So now, a complete shift in this game's tempo. You go back to a new place. They've got the Baron buff. They get the fight win. They've got Raheen back in this game. They've got quite a bit on Link as well. This is a way different look for how this game should have been going.
And that is the team fight potential. It was a little bit spread out for sure, but I loved seeing those pieces come together, and that's exactly how they drafted for themselves, although not getting there the way they thought they would. And if they can continue to take fights like that or capitalize on mistakes from EGP's side, I mean, things are looking a lot better than they were just a few moments ago, as you were highlighting to.
That they were. My one fear is that a lot of that gold did just go on to Pantheon versus anybody else. If that gold goes on to Raheen, this game looks real bad. It looks real bad. But because that goes onto the Pantheon instead, it does open up for some more pick potential. He still does do damage into Orianna and into Senna and into Seraphine, all these kind of squishier members. And recall, their team fight is still really good into what EGP does. So the longer this game goes, the more I start to favor the side of a new Blaze. And that play might have saved their lives.
Yeah, definitely, if not anything, just evened up a little bit more and tightened their grip, as Raheen is going to be forced to use a lot to get away. Shockwave is going to be burned here as well. They were trying to pick out the AD carry. They were not able to. See what they can follow up with. They're staying in mid.
That they are. They're trying to get mid priority to walk into river because they're the ones with double dragon. So getting this infernal, or my apologies, this ocean soul would be big for their team, especially when you've got the double moonstone. Into the fight goes Alarin, though.
Grand Starfall, here's the Pantheon, but it's going to be stopped up. Dawning Shadow comes across. Big Shadow onslaught, but it's a huge knockback from Alarin. There's the Featherstorm, but it's too little, too late, and they take the wrench and throw it straight into the cogs. as it will be EGP taking another fight after it looked so promising for the side of ANEW Blaze. They just take it and slam it shut. They're looking at mid lane.
You stepped way too far here, walking into mid lane, contesting into vision that you don't have, compared to walking into river, claiming the river control that you've already got, and then defending your tower with something like Pantheon and Galio, who can already move into river if they need to contest against the fight. Also, how about Mist's Encore? I think
it's been
3-4-member
insane.
Encore that just completely eradicated 2 damage dealers from the fight to start things off. And right as we thought ANEW Blaze had a chance, they were coming back, there's EGP to strike again.
Yo, the gold lead or the gold graph for this game is going to be insane. I mean, we've fluctuated from like 6K to like 1,000 back to 6K now. Like, this is going to be absolute insanity. I need to go hiking on that graph map because it's definitely got some heights. ANEW able to find a nice little flash there, cheeky, if you will, but Surdy trying to run away from this. How much are they going to commit? They've committed all 4 members to this. And Surdy, wait, they want to give it away. Oh, they gave it to Link. Okay, I guess he's already getting the gold. Whatever.
He just needed something there. I'm really shocked the fact that they tried to make that aggressive play with Alarim. I know that their gold spiked really heavily and they thought that they were going to have it. Number one, their damage dealers aren't that ridiculously fed. Again, all of that gold went into Link. Number two, you've got the composition that responds to the dive coming out from Camille and Hecarim. Why are you opening up the front line and giving access into the back line to things like, A, first off, the Encore, and then also dive from Tomio and also Surti? It just doesn't make any sense in my mind why it is that you would do something like that. And that, again, I'm not going to dwell on the fight any longer than that, but that 5,000 gold shift back into favor, coupled with an Ocean Break, a mid inhibitor, that might have been the crucial damage that gets them back into the game, or at least controlling the game for the longest time.
Yeah, and at this point, you're just looking to try and get as much gold on Raheen, on Dark Wings as you can. Just get to those fights that you have to fight. So honestly, I'm saying 3 minutes for that that Dragon Soul. It's going to be really hard to, even though they don't have like that burst damage or I guess the damage to take these objectives, the siege is going to be insane. Space Match Hero, I don't know about this. All right, just, freely giving over some gold to Dark Wings, I guess. Kind of sus, if you ask me.
Yeah, so I see the idea is like they knew that the return had come back, or at least the back had come through from the side of ANEW Blaze, and so he's thinking, oh, I can push up warding a little bit, just kind of mistimed it, I suppose, there. Now with him off the map, they don't have the same kind of warding structure, so this is going to be a topside claim completely here for the side of ANEW Blaze. No Baron for the next little while, so it's not going to mean that much, but a minute ahead of time, having this forward warding is relatively big, especially when you're going to have to push it back out. If they take another set of backs, getting some more wards in their favor, they might be able to claim mid-prio and have that top river controlled.
Yeah, and the hardest thing right now is that you just have these super minions, albeit not much longer, I don't think, but they are constantly pressing this mid lane, so you have to keep revisiting here. You have to make sure you're floating around it, making sure it doesn't get any further push in your base with these objectives coming up.
That it does. And now we're getting a chance to see the Baron is going to be coming back out. This next dragon, I think, is going to be a massive point of contention, because clearly, if you're on the side of ANEW Blaze, you do not want to get that over anytime soon. But if you've got priority in that bot river and you have to dive back into this composition here set up from EGP, it's not going to go very well for you. And so if you're on the side of ANEW Blaze, my question is just like, do you have to sack Baron in order to get priority in this bottom river to even have a chance at winning this game? Because again, if you've got Senna and you've got Seraphine, both with Moonstaff, with Ocean Soul, does any amount of grievous wounds actually matter? Does cutting 1,000,000 health from a heal into a third actually matter at this point in the game?
Rebel, you're making me sad. I believe, okay? I believe. I'm finding a little trouble here. I don't know. I was gonna say you might have to burn the ulti Alarim. He's trying to push Tomio to the end to his teammates. Was not able to find the Tomio. It's just a little bit too strong, and now it's EGP who are pressing the advantage. As it's been Alarim who's been being really aggressive every time he shows up, and now Surdy trying to give some of that back. Oh my God, Link takes almost half of his health and damage just from one shot, and they're just taking this off-kilter fight because they know they can. Big Encore is going to be there as well. Dawning Shadow's following it up. Surdy and Alarim are just dueling it out here. They've lost the team fight though, but have they? The Chaos Storm is raining hell in the backline, but Surdy is too, and the damage is gone. That's a quadra kill for Surdy, and that is no doubtedly the game.
Yeah, right there, yet again, it's another example. Alarim is found pushed off of the rest of his team, so there's no defense from any sort of dive that can come through. It's pushed off by Cersei. That means that Tomio's free reign going to the back line. All of this range you've got between Shiro and Mist is there to be able to completely take advantage of Tomio going into the front. Aspect doesn't have his ultimate because he wasted it on the link, but it just does not matter. Really good play there, forcing that fight and getting them game number 1 from the side of EGP.
What a performance coming out. The kind of statement that we were looking for, although there were some fumbles there. Every good football game has some fumbles, right? um no, but EGP grabbed some pieces they're comfortable with, got this aggressive jungler, although he had 16 assists. Not typically what you see for Tomio. I still think it was a Tomio death squad because he was able to set up so many devastating charges that helped his team get the fights going, or even those onslaughts of shadows. And I think Surdy came up really clutch for his team this time. Just I feel like Alarim never felt comfortable up there against them, and it kind of snowballed into the fights as well. And just overall, solid performance from EGP. Although I think that on the other side, ANEW Blaze showed up pretty well as well.
They had their moments where they were able to come back into this one. Don't get this
Mhm.
wrong. EGP was in control for the majority of the game. A couple of fumbles, like you said, that did cost it. ANEW Blaze was there to keep them honest, at least. And I think that's going to be the point we talk about here. I talked to
Yeah.
so many people about how the series would get to go, and very, very few, or at least far and few between, thought that there was much beyond EGP takes the win in 3 games, 3-1, something along those lines. That right there was an example of why I think this could still go the distance to 5 games minimum. Because
Yeah, I think
if
so
those
too.
fumbles come through, this ANEW Blaze roster is still able to take advantage of those mistakes you make. If they find themselves in a
Yeah.
put where they understand their composition better, maybe have some more damage into these carries, like I said, if Raheen gets that gold instead of somebody like a Link, maybe this game looks a lot different.
It may be that. We'll have to see as we're going to take a little break while we get ready for that game number 2. Do not touch that browser. We'll be right back.
And welcome back, everybody, to game number 2 between EGP and ANEW. Man, after what was honestly a very back and forth game number 1 here, guys. Lennon, Rebel Fox, let me go ahead and start off with y'all. As you know what, I'll let either one of you take this question. Why is 30 the best player in this game? Whoever talks first gets it go.
Because he's 30.
Thank you.
It's that big brain analysis right there.
Yes, sir.
Hey, he's just got the confidence, man. I mean, I feel like that's what a lot of that last game was on that Camille.
I couldn't agree more here. Speaking of the Camille, though, that will be the first pick taken away as well on the other side of a new beat on a Rebel. I'll go ahead and ask you: are we going to see 4 Groomstones this time in this game?
That certainly worked out pretty well for them last game. It wasn't punished all too heavily during the laning phase, despite the Galio and the Pantheon weren't able to find many times where Link was able to get his way into the bot lane. In fact, actually, the Pantheon in general, I think, was really low tempo for attacking against a double Moonstain bottom lane. So if they're going to run it, I think that's perfectly fine because there was no punishment to come out from the side of a new Blaze.
Now, speaking of punishment, though, right now we'll see yet again a similar bans across the board, though, but a new Blaze will go ahead and pick up the Seraphine for themselves. It looked like it was an absolute terror, especially I believe it was like the 18-19 minute team fight where they're fighting our mid-tier 2, and that Encore got what, like 4 people?
Yep.
was
Big ultimate.
Disgusting, absolutely. But no, as I believe as KDA says, do you want more? And it looks like EGP do definitely want more as they go and run it back with a very slow competition, but they take the Pantheon for themselves this time. It's okay. I see which trading drafts here.
Yeah,
It does look like it. just kind of swapping sides. I think EGP have a very strong idea of what they want to go for here in the rest of the draft, because I think they're going to opt into more of that global style play, more so than we saw last time. But they still have some very strong lanes to draft for themselves, and that Pantheon still is pretty flexible. I really like this Graves for a new Blaze.
Okay, so like, yes, Graves got picked, but where is my Rengar is what my question is, and where I want my answer to be. Because again,
True.
I wanted them to come out with a punch in game 1, not like a tickle out of the jungle position. And Pantheon didn't really accomplish all that much to start the game. There was that one really good fight where I think 2-3 kills went into his pocket, but outside of that, it was a really lax game coming out. Maybe the Graves is going to be more oriented towards farming. You can play that sort of style and then become a beast as the game continues. And I love the fact that they're picking this long-range engage. Seraphine Ornn has got to be one of the most lethal combinations of engage that you can bring.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that long range engage for them is insane. And it's, Alorum gets to have his meaty tank up there that he tends to like a lot. But the next pick, Ravish, that's huge.
The Shenda coming out here. Okay, here. Now clear me out here, y'all. I think we're gonna go ahead and run it back to the previous season where this is the River Shen.
Oh my God, get out of here. I'm just saying, as a play-by-play, I guess something in draft, and I know it's really obvious, but then I got to give myself a clap on the back. Like they went for it. They got the global presence.
See, so now with this, if they have the Pantheon and Shen, if they get the TF and the Galio from the side of EGP, they'll have almost every global in the game, Rebel.
Perfect.
They might. They absolutely would. It would be something interesting to see that composition in action. I do like your point, actually, because you're kind of joking about the jungle Shen coming out, but the flexibility of Shen potentially into support, into the right support matchup, Pantheon into support, potentially into jungle mid, or even maybe top lane in certain matchups is big, especially when you're on this red side and you have these counter picks because they have no idea what to prepare for. This is a big pickup, too. They've banned literally every other ADC. Unshockingly, you're going to snag the Samira, and now you've got the comfort that you are looking for, that Shiro and Rahina are about.
Oh, okay. Lennon, okay, take your picks. Is it going to be the Vayne or the Ashe? Who's it going to be?
I'm hoping for the Vayne. We got to see a little bit of a pop-off Vayne earlier today, Rebel, and I was really happy about that one. I think the I don't know. I love Raheen. The Samir is so scary to me, especially with the combo they could have down there with a little bit of that flexibility coming through in the Pantheon, the Shen, or even if they just want to go with something else. The Vayne is going to be a tricky pick, but if it succeeds, it'll be really nice.
I mean, both these ADC picks absolutely excel late game team fight stuff. But for the side of ANEW, they're definitely picking a lot more late game oriented type of composition for themselves with the Ornn, the Graves, the Vayne, especially the Vayne. Actually, that's what pick that really sticks out to me. So, what I'm looking at for the side of EGP already is okay, how can we go ahead and sack this Vayne so that way he never pops off?
I'm actually really worried here about EGP because of the fact that now you have literally 3 melee champions with a Samira who likes to be in melee range because of her lack of range as an ADC. And I love this Braum pick. That Braum pick was huge right there. Okay, this makes a bit more sense. This is indicative of the fact that it will be support Pantheon with Syndra in the mid lane, Shen in the top lane. You can go crazy with that if you absolutely need to, Mr. Ravish. I know you're going to anyway, but I love this Braum right here. I think this Braum completely throws a wrench into everything EGP was planning for.
Okay, look now, since you only added me about it, look here, guys, here are my theories so far as you go into this game. I think EGP, the way they draft it is the way they're going to play it.
Oh no, Ravish! How could you?
Okay,
blasphemy!
So crazy out of your mouth.
But here's what I mean. You see, in the pick order that they had all these champions, that's gonna be the LCS order that we see. I'm talking about Hecarim top, Pantheon jungle, Shen mid, Samira ADC, and Syndra for support.
Why you gotta do this? That's all I'm gonna ask. Why you gotta do this, Ravish?
Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. I know
it's not going to.
I seem to remember. I can't remember. Does anyone remember who TBA substituted for in UPL 2020 fall? The team that ended up falling out. They played in recent last splits. If I recall, Noble Esports. They played Syndra jungle, and I'm really shocked that you did not actually mention that as a possibility here, because that's the one thing I would have actually been accepting of. Unfortunately, because of the draft, we get to see everything that's happening.
Even I think that's a bad idea. All right, there.
Oh man, that's what you really know. That's you gotta watch out, stay away from that.
Rebel, look, I may be a man who dreams, but even I have my limits, and that's where that's where I draw the line. Like, that should not be happening. Look, we were all winners for that game, and that's all I'm gonna say. Really, it's past all that. Though, you see all the picks, go ahead and come on in. Why don't you all great as competition for me? Now let it go ahead and start off with EGP's comp.
Well, you're definitely looking at the early presence again on the Hecarim. We saw Tomio had a pretty decent performance on it. A lot of assists. You would have liked to have those kills for sure. Maybe he can change that around this time. I like Surdy being enabled in the global pressure game with the Shen being able to help Tomio as well a little bit more fluidly. Aspect is his performance on Syndra is going to be crucial. We saw how topsy-turvy that mid lane kind of was, even though they weren't able to play around it too much. The trades were going very much back and forth, and so I want to see this Syndra kind of pop off for Aspect, and we already seen the bot lane. I mean, I feel like the onus is more so on them to make sure they don't die to this Braum, because the Vayne is a little bit easier target, but that Braum is definitely gonna be hard for Samir and Pantheon to play.
Yeah, like you mentioned as well here, Rebel. That Braum pick is absolutely huge, considering they're all gonna go ahead and come into him. And as a grandmaster, not me, but Cubby, who would taught me how to play Braum. This is the one advice he gave me when I play Braum. Just auto, stupid. And I think it does not get any easier than that, Rebel. But go ahead and talk to me about the Braum pick along with the newbies comp.
Yeah, so if you're on the side of a new Blaze, I like the adaptation they made from last game, where they have the ability to respond to dive quite well, especially now that you don't have Poppy, which, again, Poppy's an amazing pick. It would have been fine in this game as well, I think, but the difference is Alorum doesn't have to throw his body into the mix in order to defend people. So if he gets shoved out of a fight, he can still throw that ultimate from a good distance away, throw Qs, try to throw E's over walls, things like that, whereas the Poppy, if you're not in a fight, you're not in a fight. There is no effect that you can have. Same with Darkwings on the Seraphine. You have a good amount of disruption for their backline if they try to dive way too handily, and Vayne can try to work her way front to back with the defense coming out from Breezy here on this Braum. So the setup here is tough. You still have to get your Vayne and your Seraphine into the game, and there's plenty of aggression early on, as Mr. Mazel had taken out. Tomio was amazing on the Hecarim and certainly will have his aggression, as well as Surti on the Shen this time. But I do think that if they get into this team fighting phase, they'll have good ways to respond to what it is that's being brought by EGP.
Now, with all that being said here, guys, I do want to go ahead and ask you one final question, right? It's now, I want a guesstimate from both of you. How many groomstones are we seeing this game? Leonard, start with you.
1.
Okay. Okay. A
The
bold
big
call.
number. The
A
big
bold
number.
call. I like it. Rebel, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking 1 this game. If we get any more than 1, I would be
You're
hard pressed to figure
copying
out who it
me.
is. How am I supposed to guess how many
Cheater.
more? How
I
many more
already said
people? I mean, I guess Braum could do it if you absolutely
Oh
wanted
God,
to. But
please don't.
Mhm. And see, that's where I come in. Where I think there's going to be 2 in this game here,
Oh my
guys. Look,
God.
look,
We're gonna be
I
on the
know,
ABCs.
I know you all present me as a dreamer, as but I choose to dream every single day. And the more I dream, the more I feel more alive. With all being said here, though, folks, going to cut into a very, very short break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back for game number 2 with the EGP and a new B. We'll see you back here.
We are back and we are on to Summoner's Rift for the second time of the evening. It is a new Blaze versus EGP.
And I'm hyped for game number 2. Game number 1 was exciting, even though it wasn't the most, it wasn't the closest game of all time. I'll say that. It proved for some exciting moments, which is bound to happen as we get further and further into this playoff and further into this Swiss style bracket where you just keep playing against others. And now that we've gotten to the top 4 teams, I love the way that these guys are playing against each other.
Well, you know what I love, Rebel? It's this orange skin. You think he paid for it with it for his big bucks, broadcasting bucks, his Rido bucks?
His Rido, I have no idea. Why don't you ask him? You should. How
Why
about you
don't I
ask him
ask?
first?
Okay.
You should ask him
Where did you
personally.
get that skin? No, seriously though, it's gonna be a fun one. I think in the second one, it's gonna be. The thing I worry for a new Blaze is I don't want them to overstep. I don't want them to try too hard, right? I don't want them to overexert themselves for little things where they could play steady and slow. Talking about overexerting themselves, they're gonna go for the late invade here. They are in for a world of hurt though because EGP are definitely ready.
They have Braum. Yeah, the stack here was a little bit problematic, and now you got 5 members here.
Yeah, they are all bearing down on these 3 members here. Darkwings has found Aspect on the side, and they're just getting some poke down.
They reset this?
I'm so confused at how this is working out right now. The smite does come down. They want to follow up the damage here, and they're going to. Devastating charge was leveled by Tomio. Early game could also be going here to the side of EGP. Will they follow it up even further? First blood will go over, and it finally goes over to Tomio.
And the idea here, I suppose, is just that late 3-man invade can get you so much on the map if you're creative with it and if you're able to make it actually work. Okay, Mist was kind of sitting there. Raheen was ready for. I'm glad he didn't step up too far. But and with Braum, you always want to be invading because he's just such an amazing level 1 champion. But here you are. You had 5 members here ready and available. You had Darkwings get cut off, so it ended up being a 4 for 3. Yes, you got the Braum, but you don't really have any other early game things. And now Breezy takes the punishment. No summoners and loses his life. Over to the Hecarim, even worse, I think.
Yeah, giving the Hecarim that extra onus in the early game is not where you want to be. You saw how hectic it could have been, or it was, I guess, last game too. But still not game deciding, but it's definitely leaning in favor of EGP right now.
Yeah, we saw last game how Tomio was able to stay slightly ahead of the curve in terms of itemization on Hecarim, which is not what you want if you're the opposing team. But to be ahead of the curve or even set the curve here as the Hecarim would be, that would just be maybe even go next territory for the side of ANEW play. So they have to be careful with where Tomio's going to go. He is down his Ghost. It comes up much faster, but still have a little bit of time, a little bit of reprieve where you're not going to have that move speed buff.
A bit of hope going in the favor of Link if he can try and get something going for himself on this Graves, where he hasn't really been too much of an impact in the earlier 3 minutes of the game. He will be able to get his Scuttle Crab here, and a heavy onus down to the bot side of the map by EGP.
Yeah. Unfortunately, also Link, he was a domino effect in the process of this dot lane kind of attempt for that blue buff. They stuck around so long that Breezy was ended up dying, but because they went in for blue buff and couldn't get it, he had to turn completely around and then solo his first camp as well, which slows down his clear speed immensely, and didn't get a kill to boot as well, like Tomio did. So now, as the Graves, you're a little bit on the back foot comparative to this Hecarim. Thankfully, he did run under tower essentially to get that kill, so at least you have a little bit of reprieve there, but still, you're going to be feeling it as Link for the foreseeable future, my opinion.
Well, and I think that Graves is just really good at any point, especially just being able to be that solid presence throughout the game. They are really setting this up here, and it will be Breezy that gets the first. Oh, nice condemn, though. It still will be Breezy picking up his second death of the game, but Raheen was able to buy a little bit more time there with that nice condemn on the devastating charge.
I am a little bit... I'm trying to figure out exactly what happened there is making my brain go into a tizzy, because there was like a knockback of the horse, but he also hit Breezy as he throws the shield up, and as he tried to jump, which knocked him more forward, but knocked him backwards. I guess I don't know what just
still goes through. Like if the actual connection is there, it'll go through no matter what. You can flash, you can do whatever, it'll still knock you back, which I always found was one of the most interesting mechanics ever. But yeah, he's able to use it to his advantage right there.
Yeah, but also the additional length that he wasn't able to jump back is what punished Breezy, because if he has that W, he gets back, he should be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there. Certi is feeling the wrath of Alorum right now, who's trying to help out his team as best he can on this Ornn pick. I've seen that before. I believe I casted a series where he did that as well, but in this one, punishment on Aspect.
Oh, gonna force the flash out of the mid laner for the side of EGP, and I was a bit interested, a little bit worried for Alorum there in the top side, but Tomio says, no, I don't want to go for the beefy tank.
That you don't. It is level 5 for Link, and I can appreciate that, but now Tomio has backed. He got a Sheen on his first back, which is so much more burst damage. They haven't been able to shut Vayne completely out of this game with these bot side plays. In fact, they haven't even pulled a summoner from Raheen, which I think it goes to speak like mounds about how good and how calm Raheen is in this situation, despite all of that. Again, I talked about I've known him for a long time, called him a hands player. He absolutely has deserved every bit of success stepping onto this team, finding a win against his sister squad. He is a big reason for a lot of those things. And so it's Breezy getting aggressed against, but they haven't had this kind of success they needed shutting down the Vayne or even accelerating some mirror here.
Indeed, maybe they're looking for some extra leverage there on the bot side now. We do have potential cluster going on in the mid lane. Dragon did spawn. It is an Infernal Dragon first, so definitely looking for a little bit of extra damage, but nothing going to be too crazy. Thought a play was going to develop mid. Everybody backs off. Link just goes to farm his jungle.
And what's crazy about this game is in the previous game, we saw quite a bit of attention on Sir T and his ability to 1v1 in their matchup. And in this game, they've done the same thing, but they put him on a champion that's okay surviving on his own into this lane. And now Alorum can't really punish him all too heavily as this Ornn. It's not like the Ornn's going to come out and solo kill the Shen every time he gets a chance. And they've captured complete control of this bottom side, which means the aggression from the side of ANEW Blaze should be coming into the top side against Sir T, maybe into the mid lane up against the likes of Aspect. But they found almost nothing except for that flash on Aspect earlier, despite the fact this entire top quadrant is effectively barren of any wards or pressure whatsoever from EGP because of all the resources they put into bot side.
Oh, got the flash with the encore, and they're gonna follow it up with the damage. Stand United comes in, and it saves Aspect, and here comes Tomio! Oh my god, everything is falling apart here early on for a new Blaze, and Tomio picking up a double kill. He's making good on all those assists from last game.
Oh my goodness. First off, the patience from Surti. If you throw that shield immediately, it's actually less effective. He waited so long to put that onto Aspect, and it got real close to not being worth it. But Aspect finds his way out. That Shen coming alongside Tomio means they can punish because of their control on bot side. There's no support from Braum or from Vayne whatsoever. The damage wasn't there from Link and Darkwings, and then they lose both members for absolutely nothing. Tomio picks up both of those kills. This Hecarim is just running amok on this map right now.
Oh, Alorm just taking some extra tower shots there. He's going to be forced to burn the ulti. He could still die here. And he is going to be forced to flash away. Does Surti follow it up, getting slowed down really heavily. And I just want to highlight back to that point. I mean, that was Darkwings committing. He flashed for that encore. And it's just so upsetting that it was like 70 damage from getting the kill.
It was very close. I think it might even be lower than that. That shield also got burnt through pretty quickly as well. So it was kind of upsetting to see that that had come through. And now it's not just like a 2,500, 3,000 gold lead somewhere in that area. The Infernal Dragon has gone over. Tomio's the one with all the gold, so he's going to be able to put it into every single lane. And there are dreams of trying to stall this game out and get it into a place where the Seraphine and the Vayne are going to be able to run team fights for the most part, are starting to look lost at least. Yes, the Raheen hasn't fallen too far behind. He's only a couple of waves behind. But at this point, the entire bit of tempo on this map, including anything in the jungle, is just all Tomio and all the side of EGP.
It is indeed, and now we have a Rift Herald spawn there towards the top side, so I'm sure we'll see Tomio and Link go back up there, as you already see they are. Question is, do they actually commit to taking it? How do they want to play around it? We already see some pings going up there from the blue side, so maybe we'll see some focus around the top side and then a play into Rift Herald, but really right now, as you said, it's pretty much up to what Tomio wants to do. I think Link is going to try to get something going for himself, but if Tomio is there, that's where you have to kind of second guess yourself.
Yeah, Surti actually making a bit of a fight onto Alorm. It might pull Tomio up into the top side, but it is. They haven't seen Rift Herald, I don't think, quite yet. They've seen Seraphine on the rotation, and they kind of know where Graves is going to be. Ooh, good job.
Nice move from Alorm, but he still dies. That's the Sheen. It's too good.
Painful. Painful, man. It's not just the Sheen, that's the Divine Sunderer. That's 10% of his maximum health right there. That's an insane proc, not to mention red buff, key damage, everything else. And yes, they do lose Rift Herald, thankfully, but they don't actually end up with all too much loss here, as long as this Rift Herald is able to pick up both plates effectively without being lost. They've rotated their bot side up here, too. I'm curious if they're just going to full commit for this tower. They will take it faster than Space Dad. Shiro can take that bot tower on his own, so...
And right on cue, both the steel caps being picked up at the same time from Surti and Tomio. Gotta appreciate it. That synergy built in there.
Okay. Surti is playing dangerous games. If his team
I
can't
don't
get here
know
fast
about
enough.
this. This is they do
They're
have the
baiting.
Rift Herald available. Yeah, they're bringing everybody up here. Aspect on his way too. Grand Starfall comes out. Surti goes in. This is a lot of damage to deal with, though. They've got the TP coming in behind them. They need to make something happen here. Big onslaught of shadows from Tomio is going to help get one kill. Can they get the rest? Raheen trying to dodge away, expertly kiting, gets away from the Scatter of the Weak, but dies to the power unleashed. Because it does not matter if they can just press the R button on you. One more kill could be potentially going over. Mist trades himself back. Darkwings gets hunted down like a beast by Tomio, who on this Hecarim is just elevating the gameplay.
Yeah, I think here's the problem with what just happened. Actually, they're not done with this one. Breezy's definitely going to die here. Breezy
Oh my
tries to
god, that
flash out.
devastating charge did so much damage. That was so good.
There's nothing much to be said about what happened right there. The problem is the setup from the side of ANEW Blaze was pretty blatantly obvious. They rotated their top into top lane in an attempt to support the Rift Herald take after their top laner is dead, and then they stay way too long. It is so obvious what they're doing, trying to commit to this top lane tower, and you're doing that into Shen with teleport, you're doing that into Pantheon, you're doing that into an exceptionally fast and a very fed Tomio. There is nothing legal about anything that just happened on top side here from the side of ANEW Blaze. It was so unfortunate to see that had happened. There was no chance of anything else happening either. EGP had their number all day.
And I felt like the one spot where they were actually feeling pretty comfortable in Alorm in the top lane is now not that comfort anymore. I mean, you're not looking at any kind of difference besides that CS differential there. But now with Shin having 6 assists and like this whole team just being on a roll, I mean, Tomio has 100% KP, and it's just spotlighting what we said works for these squads, and EGP have just shown up with it today.
Yeah, there's no play to Link here because Link is on this kind of farming style jungler. He's
Yeah.
attempted to support a couple of fights, but that's been about it. And that's not what worked against ANEW if you're on the side of ANEW Blaze. When you're playing with ANEW, you're playing around this Rengar who's getting aggressive all around the map, doing all these crazy things. And into this EGP squad, you're not doing that. You're just hoping that doesn't win.
Okay, Shiro. Shiro just going ham, but he will get stunned up. It doesn't matter. Shield bow procs and your health comes back just like it's a magic trick. Mist is going to get the kill with the execution, and that is a quick turnaround the top lane by EGP.
I really love... Oh, actually, we got more action here.
He's like, I didn't see the ward there. I take it back.
You wanna hear something crazy? Like, this game's probably just over. Like, it's 12 minutes in, but this game's almost certainly just over. It's 2 dragons in control. It's 12 kills in control. It's 8,000 gold. Darkwing probably still dies here anyway.
He didn't expect it. He walked away for a second. He was like, oh, he's not going to go golden. Anyways, back to your big brain analysis. Bird brain analysis?
Nah,
big brain analysis.
It looks like that play is broken. The problem is now, not only has your entire top side snowballed and completely out of control in Surti and in Tomio doing all this work in this ridiculous engage that you have, you've also got your Samira fed beyond belief, and there's nothing you can do to respond to that. Your Darkwings has fallen so far behind on Seraphine, Raheen is behind on this Vayne. Nobody is here that's going to have the damage or the range to actually handle this team. What could have been a good team fight if they got to that point will never be reached at all here from the side of ANEW Blaze. I think this is just going to be a bunch of running it down with Hecarim, a bunch of hunting people down with Shiro's ultimate, barring any sort of massive throw around multiple fights here from the side of EGP. Like, this one's probably just going to be over in a couple minutes.
Rebel, I got one thing that I absolutely love, and it is highlighting a little bit more on EGP for sure. But the fact that we hadn't seen Shiro really engaged in any fights up until that point that he decided to dash in against 3 members. Like, he knew his teammates were coming to help him, and he did not care. He just went straight in, popped the Inferno trigger, and just initiated the fight himself as the Samir, which is just showing the level of confidence that EGP are bringing to the table here in the semifinals, which shows very well for them. And it's the response that's lacking from Blaze.
Yeah, it's Shiro. You know what it is? It's Shiro wanting to get to the team fighting phase. He's like, come on, team fight.
Guys,
so he
I
just
just
generates
want
his
to
own,
do
man.
this.
I just want to pop off with the Inferno trigger. So he just runs into 2 people. He's like, oh, we're team fighting. We're team fighting. I'm the only one grouping. What's happening? Yeah, he's going crazy. Okay. I think that was... All right, Flash was burnt by Aspect at least a little bit. I'm just curious where this play can come out from the side of ANEW Blaze at this point, simply because I don't think they have the ability to contest just about any neutral objective. They don't even have a mythic item done yet. Actually, that's not true. They have Iceborne or Frostfire Gauntlet finished here for Ornn, but that's about it.
Okay, Shiro. Oh my god. That's gonna be blocked there. Shiro comes in. He is popping off. He says, my name is Space Dad Shiro. And he's gonna get a couple kills here, potentially. I look in a clean house with that double. Oh no, the Onslaught of Shadows was used. Tomio! This is illegal gameplay. They get the full 5-man surrender 15 minutes and 20 seconds in, and EGP are steamrolling to the finals.
How about that performance from Tomio, just completely running the map from absolute minute 1? You can make an argument, to be quite honest, that after that level 1 play, Braum with no sums, dying immediately to your Hecarim, and then also costing Graves a fair amount of his ability to clear his jungle at the same speed that Hecarim can, the game was ruined from just that minute. And it was just constantly bleeding out over and over again. They were never able to stem the bleeding. That's a really rough go over here from ANEW Blaze. They looked a lot better in game 1. This one was it was chalked from minute 1 pretty much.
Was indeed, and it was on their onus. I mean, they wanted to go for that late invade with the 3 members, but it was just a set plan for EGP to have 5 members there ready to go. So I can appreciate the communication there, and I like the attempt at least from Blaze, but the execution is where it really needs to come down to.
And this is not the game plan we wanted from ANEW Blaze. We knew EGP, they're going to be playing, they're going to be able to aggress against the lanes, they're going to be able to fight around Tomio, they're doing all these things. Shiro is a great late game carry. What we thought was like, okay, we're matching that on the other side. We're trying to play the Link, we're trying to play the City, we're trying to get Raheen into the late game, and they're not doing those things very well. They're not playing to the strengths that they've set up and what got them through their sister team in the first place. And if they don't figure it out really quickly, they're going to get knocked out in the semifinals.
They are indeed. That's the biggest thing right now. It's like, hey, your backs are up against the wall. I mean, you are floundering around at this point, trying to find something to grasp onto in this series, and that's what I'm hoping to see come out in Game 3. We are going to step away, take a little break while the teams do get ready for that Game 3. Will we see ANEW Blaze make the triumphant comeback and potentially bring us to a reverse sweep, or do EGP book their finals ticket tonight? We will see in just a little bit.
Welcome back, everybody, for game number 3 between EGP and ANEW Blaze. You're right here on Risen 2. So after that game, you could go ahead and call it here, y'all. It was an interesting time to go ahead and watch, especially from a spectator perspective. But I'll go ahead and let our caster slash analyst try to go and break that down for me. Rebel, I'll come to you first. Talk to me about the level 1 play, which really started it all.
Like I said, the intention there is good. I've seen that play a number of times. With a Braum, you're going to expect that all the time. It's just that EGP was ready for it. They knew with the Braum, you're going to be expecting an invade, even if it's a lane invade, something along those lines. They had the stack there. They had all 5 members on bot side, and it cost Breezy his life. I think they had an opportunity to walk away, go back to bot lane. Breezy would have been low on health, but they would have been able to survive that situation. And he greeted really badly, trying to throw a Winter's Bite and try to steal the blue buff, which didn't even come close to taking it, let alone even hitting it for the most part. And because of that, he stayed way too long, got the kill to Telmio, caused the snowball. Pretty much, it kind of destroyed the game from that point.
Yeah, and then from there too, it was just a lot of everything. As we're looking at it here, y'all. It was Lennon. I just wanted to go ahead and give you a massive congrats because you did get to say Space That Cheer was full name right on cast.
I
Shout out to you,
did. I
buddy.
know. I was so happy. I always gotta try to fit it in there.
Shout out to you, buddy. I was really proud and happy for you as well. Let's go ahead and hop in the game here, y'all. It was as see the picks come in, what happened, Lennon? What did we really witness?
Well, it was a quick game. Fall, you weren't there. It was 15 minutes. It was surrendered by ANEW Blaze, but the fact was that level 1 gank that ANEW Blaze tried to put on just put them on the back foot, and Tomio took it and ran with it. We saw in game number 1 where he was getting a lot of the assists. He was unable to really get a lot of that gold and be that influence. This game completely turned on its head. He had all the gold. He was able to be everywhere, and everywhere he was being a menace.
And the menace he shall be here is as right now
Get
the
the
first
Hecarim
come
back, too.
in as yeah, because you saw the previous game they did not want to have EGP have that along with the Pantheon either. So it's like ANEW have went ahead have changes up their draft strategy as well. I believe they've almost picked different bans almost every single time this game, except the Thresh one has stayed consistent across the board. So I respected them actually adapting across the board, as this is something that I am interested in. If this pick actually goes through here, y'all, the theory crafting I have for you, you are not ready for. Okay.
I'm going to pull back the veil and tell you that that's a Karthus jungle, and I'm going to pull back the veil even further and say I'm a little worried because ANEW got 15 minutes surrendered last week by their sister team, and I want you to guess who their jungler was in that game. It was Karthus. It was Karthus.
Nah, fake news,
That's
bro.
not
Fake
fair.
news.
You didn't let me guess. Come
That's
on,
fair.
bro.
You
That's
didn't
fair.
let me guess. You just told him. That's not
Yeah.
fair, man.
It's
Ooh,
tough.
It looks like we're gonna get a redemption arc here, or I guess a second performance from the Seraphine Senna combo.
Look, man, if I'm being honest, like it's okay. Look, I understand that Moonstone staff is really good. I understand that what that comp is able to do because I believe the Senna had like 65 souls by I think 16 minutes as well, which is insane, by the way. As well. So, how much they were able to do across the board for the entire team is huge. So but so far, EGP are drafting a very almost identical composition to the one they had in game number 1. Honestly, so which like I don't necessarily mind, but with the Poppy pick coming in as well on the side of ANEW B, though, we'll see if this Poppy can, learn not to just chase down Camille and be like mine, bro.
Yeah, in that last game with the Poppy, you went a little bit too far, wasn't there to defend the back line. Now you got Lucian, who's a lot more mobile, a lot harder to get onto if you're the rest of the team. You don't see the Hecarim coming in, which has been kind of the pivotal pick here from the side of EGP in both games. And you've got the Karthus, which can deter people who are walking up. That's a little bit terrifying with that wall of pain coming in. I am still a little bit afraid, but right now I'm curious what it is that ANEW B has up their sleeve, but even more so what EGP goes to for jungling against this Karthus. If there is no, now Graves, Kindred, Hecarim, Pantheon.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like so many junglers taking off here.
Yeah, and it's all junglers that are really good at getting in the face of Karthus, and that's something you really want to be careful of, is not having those skirmishing junglers going against you, because you do not want to get messed up in your path to success of just farming your jungle until you can hit 6. They do ban away the Leona on the side of EGP, though, taking away some of that priority in the support role, which I like.
Okay, so with the way they're hiring right now, though, it looks like it was gonna be the ADC pick, but they ended up picking the Nautilus instead. So considering they already know what they're going into with the bot side, so not too much of a surprise. A newbie's going ahead and bolster the composition and saving the ADC pick for the last. So at least they might have an advantage down the bot lane, which has been kind of back and forth for the side of ANEW here, Lennon. But what are you thinking here?
I think it's gonna be really interesting. I want to see what the ADC pick is here for them, because I
Yeah.
think, like, obviously the Lucian is probably a flex. It's probably gonna go in the mid lane against the Orianna. It's gonna be interesting as well. But the Nautilus, to me, you've got to have something going for you in bot lane. You cannot go against this Senna Seraphine lane again without having a pick on the table for them. And there it is.
Rebel, are all your dreams coming true right now?
So it was a new B that I was wanting to run the Rengar, but I
Yep.
will absolutely take EGP taking the same thing. If you thought that Telmio on a Hecarim was active, you ain't seen nothing yet. We got Rengar up against Karthus. He's living in this jungle. I
Wait.
love that.
Please
Okay.
don't. Please.
Okay, and a new at the side.
I
of
would I was
Okay.
gonna talk about the Ashe when they were highlighting, because I think this would be a really good pick right now for them. They have the poke, they also have the damage down if you can get the CC chain from the Nautilus, but as well, you can spot out this Rengar where he wants to be with the Hawk Shot.
I kind of wanted the Moonstaff Twitch, to be quite honest. I've heard very, very hushed whispers about how Moonstaff Twitch apparently is busted, but there's no way that's true.
I genuinely cannot imagine is how that would actually generally work out. Cause like,
Yeah.
okay, look, man, like, I understand you want to go ahead and put Moonstaff on ADC, which you put here, like, it's like, look, man, you can go ahead and do that in your own games, right? Don't go ahead and bring that to the stage here, Rebel. Putting out these bad vibes of Moonstaff ADC. Blah, I spit on you for that. I hate it.
Now, here is the good question: is I am curious whether this is going to be an Imperial Mandate Ashe, because now you had a Hecarim in the previous game, which was a really good diving tool, and it's kind of difficult to stop even when you have the slowest to put it in until it gets in, and then you start to slow it down. In this game, you got Camille, you have Senna, you have Seraphine, you have Orianna. You have range with that volley to apply that slow and making it difficult to follow up with the Rengar. And so with Wall of Pain combined with Ashe and Nautilus and Poppy, getting into this comp is going to be exceptionally hard to do. So I'm curious if Imperial Mandate is the move here for Raheen to try to ramp the Lucian and the Karthus damage as opposed to needing his own and playing more of that like ability haste type Ashe.
See, I'd see that question and raise you another, Rebel. Are we on Howling Abyss?
No.
Okay. No, I of course you say that just as I actually joke. Imperial Mandate does sound like a really fascinating pick here, which really go ahead and round out the competition a lot more though. But I'm gonna go to you next. So we were talking a lot about what the newbie can do, especially on an Ashe pick. What are EGP looking to do to take it home?
Well, obviously Tomio is going to take the carry pants this time around again. He's feeling confident off the Hecarim. Going to get the Rengar. I'd say a little bit of extra confidence picking the Rengar into Link. But you know, you go with what you got, and they want to try out this Rengar composition. I think they have a lot of tools to go with it as well in that Orianna and the setup they have, especially looking at the Seraphine Senna. I mean, you get into a combo where this Rengar can just catch you out and burst you. There's some decently squishy members. I like the point that Rebel was talking about, how it's going to be a little bit hard to get into this composition, especially when you're looking at that front line. The thing is, if you can find these key flanks, if you can find the members that are caught out, the positioning that we've seen has been a little bit of a problem this game, that's where Tomio's going to shine.
He just might though, because I know we were expecting the Rengar pick on the side of a newbie. They go ahead and break it out last time, and it was wildly successful for them going up against their sister team. So on the side of EGP, if Tommy can continue the same performances that he's had, especially on the Hecarim too, which have been the bane of ANEW's existence, I think we're in for a definitely fun game though. But what I'm genuinely curious about too, because I know it does take quite some time for the Rengar to go ahead, really pop off and become that massive late skill carry. When as soon as you see, as soon as you hear like that sound, as bells toll on the rift, you know which one of you might meet their end. Now, but the question is, Rebel, how do you think this early game has to play out for EGP, for them, so to make sure that the Rengar just takes it home?
All they have to do, for one thing, they need to keep this map separated as possible. If you're fighting against the Lucian with your Orianna, especially if you're fighting against a Karthus, most
Okay.
of the time, as long as you've got a jump or you have your ultimate as Rengar, you can absolutely outburst. Think about it. Ashe is squishy, Lucian squishy, Karthus is very squishy. So if you're 2v2ing with anybody on the bottom side of the map, you're fine.
Mhm.
Poppy, however, will ruin your day as Rengar and Camille. So do not touch top lane. Deserti, it's all yours. Go ahead and leave him up there on an island. It's been working the rest of the game. He's the best player on this Rift right now, if you don't count Tomio, of course. So I think that's how you play this. If you're on the side of EGP, split bot lane and mid lane completely away from the rest of the map, go crazy. That's all you do.
Now I'll go and come to you next. So the question is for me, which person on the ANEW roster would you take off for ice cream? No, I'm joking. It's I'm joking. So I'm talking to you about the newbie roster as though how do they need to play out that mid to late to make sure that they're able to thrive and survive for another game.
Well, I mean, we talked to. I would like to see Alorum just be steady up there in the top lane, be a more of a team fight influence later. The
Sure.
Lucian needs to get ahead. Dark Queens needs to be kind of this bridge for them. I feel like
Mhm.
bot lane's another focus that they could go if they do catch out some of these squishier members in the Senna Seraphine. We saw last time how hard it was to do that, even with the CC chains.
Sure.
So the biggest thing for me is these lanes need to be stable. They need to enable Link to get further ahead on this Karthus, get this money under his belt, and get to that level 6 where he can really start affecting the map, and especially around this objective.
Now, second question, to which I do actually want to ask though, which person on the newbies roster would you take off for ice cream?
I would love to take Raheen out for ice cream.
Okay. Rebel, same question, but for EGP.
For EGP, ooh, that's a tough question. I'd love to meet Aspect. Of all the players, I feel like I know literally nothing about Aspect. I feel like I need to get introduced to him a little bit.
All right, but you know what? I actually love it. I'm sure none of the members here are offended at all that you didn't choose them as you were covering the games
At all.
absolutely beautifully. But Leonard, I do like you went ahead and picked up Raheem this time. You did go ahead and disappointed before with that ADC pick though, but bringing it back, I see you, man.
Got to.
I
Gotta
see
bring it
what
full
you.
circle. Gotta bring it full circle.
Love what you're doing here, my brothers. And with that all being said, we're going to cut into a very, very short break for what could be, when we come back, the final game of the series in the semifinals for Risen Proving Grounds. Do not go anywhere. I'm going to see you right back here.
Welcome back, everyone. And is this the moment where EGP book their ticket to the finals, or do ANEW Blaze still have something to say about it? We will be decided here on Summoner's Rift very shortly, Rebel.
Oh, I don't get to cast Rengar that often, and I love casting some Rengar. It's always fun. I have plenty of fun stories about playing against Rengars, but I'm not going to get into anything like that today because I might get a chance to tell it at a later date. We see already that Link goes for the exhaust. He knows how miserable of a matchup this can be. He's ready for it. He knows.
He does indeed. You gotta appreciate the little things that can help out in these kinds of matchups, especially
Oh
when
yes.
you're just trying to ink out each little individual win that you can.
Hmm.
I really am wondering at how this early game is gonna look. I feel like it's so hard, Rebel. You just have this jungler who's like, I don't want anything to happen early. You have this other one that's like a speed train, just running it down. Like, hey, you have gold, I take it. It's mine. But it's all up to how Tomio pilots it.
That it is. I'm ready also to see how Raheen is able to help him out because Ashe is one of
Mm.
the best. I'm not even gonna say one of the best. Is the best champion in the game for supporting your jungler because of that hawk shot. And so, if
Yeah,
in
of course.
any game you desperately need support for your jungler, especially Vision or something along those lines, if there was ever an Ashe game that was necessary, this would be it to make sure that they can track Tomio as he attempts to attack this Karthus in the jungle.
Breezy was looking for a cheeky level 1, but doesn't pull the trigger on it as they walk around the corner. All easy as they go early on. Now is looking for the follow-up, though, as he's going to try and get the stun down, then follows with the Dredge Line. Classic combo is going to force Shiro to flash away. And they have the damage presence here to get all the summoner spells just about, except for the cleanse out of Mist.
Really incredible stuff already out of the bot lane. Looking super comfortable as Raheen and Breezy. They take this level 1.
Yeah.
They'll get to level 2 very easily. And yes, you have quite a bit of healing, but it takes a little while to come online here for Shiro and Mist. So they are still under some significant threat from the side of Raheen and Breezy. This Nautilus pick already being good, working much better against this double enchanter setup.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is it's looking like night and day comparatively to the last time they went up against this combo, and especially Raheen. They'll get a couple extra shots here. Oh, this was an aggressive play here, as Tomio's going to be forced to get away from this. He wanted to opt into the fight against Link. He wasn't able to pick up the kill. Now they are trapped between Aspect and Tomio. Oh no, Tomio's going to walk up. He flashes forward, gets first blood. Somehow, some way, comes away from it with nothing, but he still survives. And just like that, first blood has tilted over to the side of EGP, as we've seen happen so many times before in this series, and they're feeling super comfortable right now.
That they are. I think that was it was a really solid. I'm thinking of what exactly went through the mind of Link right there, where he's like, the last place you would expect me to be is his Raptors. That's like,
but I feel like that's, yeah.
I'm thinking also it's possible that they thought the map was going to be splitting because they had no information on the starting location of Meteos, and so they thought, okay, they might be splitting the map to make sure, or they were trying to split the map, and Tomio just kind of forced his way in, which I arguably probably would have been an even better idea or even better thought of what was attempted to happen right there.
Yeah.
So they get punished for it. As expected, the Rengar starts off to an early lead, just as in the last game.
And it was a decent amount of communication coming down from Darkwings, being able to get over the wall, trying to help Link. But the fact that the heal came through for Tomio was huge right there with the use of the W, and just getting all that health back when he was so close just kind of set things off, and Aspect was able to respond in time. So the communication is still very clean coming out from EGP, and it's starting to get that way for a Blaze too.
Yeah, big props to Aspect right there. They could have walked out of that situation, taken Meteos' flash, or C2, my apologies, Tomio's flash, and been able to make that work. But instead, they end up losing the life of Karthus because they kind of got pigeonholed into walking through a choke point against this Orianna, who's threatening up against this Karthus. And so instead of just taking the damage, having to back, something along those lines, they try to be greedy. They stayed too long, and Tomio punishes them for it. Big stuff. Yet another little bit of a misplay early on here from the side of ANEW Blaze.
And with a dragon coming up for the first time in this game, it will be the Cloud Dragon, the first one, like we did see in game number 1. Script is staying alive really well. But the question is, do we see the focus there, right? Link is still not level 6, won't be there for a little bit. We could see a delay on the first dragon take.
Yeah, the forced back also early on here from Mist and Shiro was a lot worse than what Raheen had, and so Raheen comes back with not only boots, but also brings a long sword to the table compared to just the fairy charm that comes out from Mist
Yeah.
and the boots coming out from Shiro. So this bot lane has a significant amount more power than what we're seeing on the opposite side. I got to give them a lot of respect for that. Not to mention their summoner's still down for a little while. There could be a play made bot side. In fact, actually, we're getting a whole horde of members here from
Oh,
the side
goodness.
of ANEW.
I don't know if they have found themselves out here, but Mist going to take a brunt of the damage as he will go down, and 1 kill given over as Raheen is the one that is securing the gold this time.
I will say of the champions Raheen has played between the Xayah, the Vayne, and the Ashe, the last champion I would want on that list to get the first early kill of the game would be the Ashe, but we take those, okay?
We take those. It's a
Raheen can be
dub.
the carry. Let's go. Yeah, that's a dub. Right then and there, right there. ANEW Blaze finally gets some early damage into this game on their AD carry. Might be able to put in some work in that late game where he is just such a thrilling person to watch.
Aspect, I don't know if this is the play, buddy. He's got the rest of his team coming up. He's gonna flash. There's the TP now coming in from Surdy. It did get stopped by Alorum. And Aspect getting really low. Darkwings can't follow it through, and it's just chaos early on, but nobody really committing fully.
That is. Nice little W from Alorum, stops that pressure. You have Aspect completely pushed out of the mid lane. Bot side is in control. And again, you have a much weaker bottom lane between Shiro and Mist, who is not able to respond to the damage that can be brought out by this Ashe, coupled with this Nautilus to start things off. And Tomio is still a melee champion. It's difficult to get around this edge with no brushes there to work with. So it's just going to be the early dragon coming out here. Very nice start here from ANEW Blaze to be able to get some pressure on this map.
It is. Imagine the difference in that fight if Surdy were able to finish his TP and not get Keeper's Verdict halfway down his lane. Like, that fight was a completely different beast, but luckily the communication is there, the timing is there for ANEW Blaze, and it's coming to fruition for them in game number 3 here, right when they need it to.
That is big appreciation for what's going on here. Now, another bit of aggression into the bottom lane.
He gets double stunned there. He's going to be able to get some distance and beautifully get away. They return a lot of damage. Clean's going to be pulled out from Raheen. They have the follow-up, and Mist gets the kill. After all of that, Breezy and Raheen looking so comfortable, looking so confident in the bot lane, and they give over a kill.
And literally all that needed to happen right there is they needed to shove that wave. Okay, top lane, they're looking for another play. 3 members here.
Tomio just walking up to the tower as Rengar at this point. Like, you gotta appreciate it. Surdy's gonna slam home that kill, and unfortunately, Alorum is going to be on the bad end of that joke.
It's unfortunate because the play had just been made. They got a kill, they got a dragon. It was looking good here from the side of ANEW Blaze, but couldn't quite make it work. And again, as I was saying, they could have crashed that bot wave and had just a significant farm advantage for Raheen, backed and got another itemization advantage. But instead, they opted to try to go for the fight. It kind of goes poorly. I'm not sure if it was a targeting thing, whether there was a lack of communication between he and Breezy, but clearly someone was not on the right foot of whether they were going for full aggression or not going for full aggression. And because of that, it cost them then the response play on the other side of the map. There is no response because, of course, Karthus can't exactly be anywhere on the map for the first few minutes. So instead, it's just Meteos and Aspect finding themselves a little bit more.
They will indeed. Rift Herald is up, so that is an option for these teams to play towards. I don't know how big of an option that is here for both squads. It's still Tomio who's looking to get something more early on right now as this Rengar. He hasn't been able to get too much gold under his belt besides a kill and an assist. And he's farming up necessarily well, but you gotta be careful. I mean, Link is level 6 now. He's got that damage aspect to him. He can really start to commit to these plays with his team, as you see the Rift Herald being started up.
I am normally not upset by build pass, but I do want to talk about this one really quick. I've heard good things about Rengar when you go back and you get Lucidity Boots with Essence Reaver and then into Duskblade to become this massive assassin that can just erase anyone from the map. You can do the same thing with Eclipse as well. Either one works.
Okay.
But in this case, Meteos going for that early phage means almost certainly he's going into the Gore Drinker to be a frontline where you can use that Gore Drinker to refill your health. Not as aggressive, not as kind of 1v1 solo queue-ish, the thing that I would expect Tomio to go for in this kind of game. But still, I can respect that he's going for the more kind of well-rounded option, the Gore Drinker.
Yeah, the unkillable kitty cat helped by his teammates here. It's going to be the ultimate anime sequence. It's literally going to be him going in and everybody's like, "Oh, we got you, friend!" Mist. It's stunned up by the dredge line. Level 6 is available. There's the depth charge too, and the enchanted crystal arrow, and the requiem. Oh my god, it is using everything in the bot lane, but they are able to get the kill.
That they are. Getting Karthus into this game, really impressive stuff from these two, knowing what their damage potential is and not just like pure throwing that in. Not to mention dropping that ultimate onto everybody is a little bit of chip damage, so they can try to deter any sort of play afterwards because of the lack of health that was taken off of both Braheen and Breezy. So now Space Dad Shiro, I mean, he's just working for a little bit of vision. He can't exactly back because he doesn't have the gold for anything at the moment. So pretty good play onto the bot side. And again, getting that kill onto Karthus, I think, is also massive. They get a little bit more AP onto him. He can be a real threat.
You just got the bag of gold mailed to him through whatever Amazon is for Summoner's Rift. Able to pick that up. It hasn't been the most influential part, and that's what we were kind of expecting for Karthus, but now that level 6 gained the advantage gained, and they use it beautifully, and that's what we were kind of waiting, biding our time for a new Blaze, and they have done so. So at least we're starting off good, Rebel. We're still on the tracks at least.
Yeah. I don't want to put this onto the onus of this onto anybody right now, but I will say that EGP, I expected them to be a little bit more active, especially with this Rengar to start things off, but they haven't been able to find it. I think part of that is Lucian does have priority over the Orianna early on in this laning phase. Some kill threat starts to come in when you have a little bit of armor, a little bit of AP for Aspect, but outside of that, I mean, it should still be Darkwings for the most part with all of the pressure on the map in the mid lane, and that does prevent Meteos from just, or Tomio, my apologies, from just simply walking in and aggressing against this Karthus like you probably wanted.
Yep. As we do have another dragon coming up here, but it looks like Link wants to go mid lane. Darkwing's taking a heavy trade on Aspect. There's the culling going to be used. Shockwave used, and Aspect gets the kill. Link just has to watch there as a bit of an overextension for Darkwings. The Rift Herald's going to be popped there in the mid lane, so it's going to try and get some extra gold for this Karthus.
The play right there, I think Darkwings was a little greedy with the flash location there, so he was on the back side of the shockwave that was coming through. If he flashes backwards, he doesn't die there. Instead, he just burns flash for flash out of the mid lane. They take those, they walk down to Dragon, they potentially take that as well off the back that comes through from Aspect. But he tried to flash forward so he could continue with the play and maybe try to get a kill against Aspect, and because of that, looks like he misjudged the angle slightly, got pulled back into the middle. So big stuff from Aspect, nice ball placement to make sure he can catch him no matter what, and no play to come through. It is a dragon. It's also a little bit of gold flowed back into said, like you said, Rift Herald went over to the Karthus. He dropped it mid lane for some plate gold, but still relatively even early game dragon split between the two teams.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 plates in mid lane too, so not too bad. Well, I think 2 for Karthus, but at least 1 for Darkwings there. So like to see that. TPs are going to be now used by Surdy in the top lane, and you do have a collapse coming here from a new Blaze.
That we do. Alorum and Surti have once again been on a night.
Oh no, Tomio's here. Oh no, Link. Okay, he's gonna go down first. This is fine. This is where you want to be as a Karthus. Here you're able to get some damage down. Let's see what the Requiem can bring. Alorum right here, chasing it down. It's not enough early damage, Rebel.
Yeah, he's not that strong yet. He started off with the Oblivion Orb, a couple of amplifying tomes to his name. Likely will be going for the Ludens, maybe the Night Harvester at absolute most. But until that comes through, he's going to be lacking just a bit of damage here and there. And that's what they've been waiting for, is getting this Karthus into the game so these ultimates start to hit really, really hard. That's also a couple of kills going into the thing of Surti, which, again, I made mention. Surti isn't popping off in this game nearly as hard. Alorum's been able to keep him on this island without dying, but there we go. A little bit of an overextension into the top side on that dive, and Surti's right into this game with a commanding lead.
I've been very interested at how Tomio has chosen to go about this game so far in this Rengar. I just think it's so interesting. In the fact that first turret goes over to Surdy after honestly being pushed under his tower for a little while there by Lorem. I think that's a pretty good takeaway, at least at 14 minutes of the game for the top lane, or the top side of the map of EGP.
It is interesting. I also want to make mention this because this is kind of interesting. We've seen Imperial Mandate and we've seen the Shield though on Ashe, but this is the Gale Force Ashe, which is kind of
the new tech.
Yeah, the brand new tech. I do like it. I think it's interesting. The move speed on Ashe certainly helps her reposition in fights. She is
just opting for the damage.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's an encore. That's the Wombo combo that EGP were looking for, and they get Link, who takes another death. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow barely misses anybody. Breezy could be caught here. Tomio gets dragged back in. Alorum back on the flank here. They're scattering. Big shockwave on the back line, though, as Tomio is cleaning house. He gets taken down, though. Darkwing's able to snipe him over the wall. He was able to get 2 kills before he went down, and now his team needs to follow him up. They've got them trapped here, but can they make a move? Aspect gets dodged over onto the wall. The culling coming out, too, from Darkwings. doesn't have Shockwave this time to stop that. Alarm goes over the wall too. They get Aspect, but can they get the rest of them? Nice little grass. Dawning Shadow comes out. Miss looking for the kills. Gets knocked back by the keeper's verdict. And it's still Surdy versus the world up here. I don't care what his name says. He is taking top lane.
He really is. He's doing something. Okay, absolutely jump spin. He's going to take this fight. He's going to kill Karthus immediately. Yeah, there is absolutely no surprise in my eyes whatsoever that just happened. But, okay, that's a free tower. That's a winning fight now also. Originally, it was actually a 2-for-2, and I thought that was incredible they were able to keep it at that. But unfortunately, with Camille taking top tower and that additional kill, they actually lose quite a bit more. There is fight here from the side of EG, or my apologies, from the side of A New Blaze, but clearly EGP is still taking over this map. They are still the better team as of this game right now.
And I know Link wants to get into those fights, be able to have that secondary life there in the middle of the chaos, but when you get that Dark Seal and those stacks don't start going up and you're not making it further and further on that gold spike you're trying to get, it gets harder and harder to actually be an influence and not just die outright in these fights. And that's what we saw last time, is he was trying to set up his team for success, but he just died so quickly that it didn't matter.
It's a difficult place to be if you're the Karthus, to be this far behind or at least not have any real defensive stats before getting your Mythic and before getting a little bit more AP, because now you don't even really do the kind of damage you'd be expecting. Darkwings
is essentially dead. Dreadblind didn't hit. They used the Encore just in case. Breezy now the focus for a ton of this damage, and that's a free 2 kills going over. Now Link is in the middle of everybody, but he has no mana. That health bar is gone, sir. A double kill for Aspect. The Requiem is going to come out, but look at those shields. He'll be just fine.
Incredible. So Darkwings and Breezy very clearly have been off communication. In fact, actually the entire series has been a little bit of off communication here from the side of A New Blaze. And right there, Darkwings went in so early compared to Breezy, because Breezy didn't walk in. He hex flashed out of the bottom brush. I don't know who it was that called for that. I don't know if it was Darkwings going too early or Breezy for some reason hex flashing instead of just walking into that lane. But it was very clearly a mistake. It baited in the rest of his team. Karthus thinks that he can get a kill up against Mist, but Mist is shielded for days by the 2 supports, both with Moonstone Renewer. And in the meantime, Surdy's still winning the side lane because he's the best player on the field.
The world.
Yeah.
A lot of it's showing from the lack of the practice and stuff throughout the week that we know had to happen for Blaze, unfortunately, due to excruciating circumstances. But at least they're able to show a little light here. They're trying to get back into the mid lane, trying to get some of this priority down. The Rift Herald's going to be popped here by Tomio. See what they want to go for. Is this an opt-in fight for EGP? Surdy looks like he wants to. They get a lot of damage there on Tonio. Dawning Shadow comes in. Nice shockwave in the middle of everybody. Aspect just obliterates Rahid, and they lose 2 members just like that. I mean, I thought the fight was going to be a little bit more even, but it turns out it's just not. Tomio's looking at Breezy. They actually take down Surdy, though. Get a nice little shutdown there. Tomio obviously was able to kill Breezy there with the amount of damage that he's rocking on this kitty cat. And they come away a bit worse for wear there. They lose a little bit of the prio mid lane, but still, EGP able to assert dominance.
And yet another fight going over. Aspect with these shockwaves has looked so much better than game number 1 with those shockwaves. They've all been effective. They've been getting multiple members. And here it's a one fight that's just a little bit of a gold hit. They just took a bag of gold, filled it with everything that they're winning with right now, and just smacked them over the head, kind of. You had big plays from Tomio. You're able to get the 1 kill onto Surty, which was a shutdown, but you've lost not only the fight and not only mid-priority now, but you've also lost this next dragon as well. So the stacking begins in favor of EGP.
Does indeed. A little bit late on the dragon calls here, but they were able to get it anyways, and that's 2 dragons under their belt. They just need 2 more. Count it. 2 Rebel. 2. Which is a nice fact, which makes it hard, as we've seen the other games, where as the side of A New Blaze, you're looking to try and stop that snowball from the objectives, and it just gets so hard to take those fights.
It is. And this game's beginning to look more and more dire as we approach about a 6,500 gold lead from the side of EGP, which is upsetting because, again, A New Blaze, they came from such a far distance. We had them locked somewhere in the top 10 teams, even though they were a sister team to ANEW. They came out, did well in the playoffs, beat their sister team to get into semis, and now, I mean, this Karthus is looking about as good as it did in the quarterfinals right now.
I mean, Surdy missed like 3 abilities there, fella. I know it's exaggerating, but he missed like all of his abilities and still was able to half health Link. No matter what. So yeah, it does feel a little bit bad.
It's a difficulty I think that they're suffering from right now. This is another team that they have drafted here on the side of EGP that does not do very well when it comes to Baron timers.
Yeah, I agree.
But outside of that, there's quite a bit of strength on this composition, especially with this much gold. I think they could bait him towards the Baron pit. Okay, that was pretty decent.
Yeah, they
That's
tried to get
that's a
the Enchanted Crystal Arrow set up by Raheem, but just a little bit off. As now it looks like they're turning their attention to Surdy, which is probably, I don't know if it's worth it because they're going to start at the Baron here. Obviously, they don't know that, but Surdy's just going to TP out of the lane. They're going to try to burst it.
And there's no one there to respond. Karthus is on the
they all
bottom
went
side
bot.
of the map. Yeah,
They all went
Warren has
bot.
nothing to TP to. Darkwings is in the top lane farming right now. He's not even moving for it. They're trying to get priority back mid lane, but they can't get anything. Like, they just lose. Right then and there. They just lost the Baron. They almost certainly just lose the game off the back of just this play alone. That was something else.
Look at Surdy. Look at this. I mean, this is just impossible. Surdy is just completely obliterating the side lanes. You can't even show your face. Shockwave's going to come in. Raheem's done. They use the Encore just for show because it is a star-spangled banner out here right now for EGP. They are dominating every which way you can look at.
What are you saying there? Star-Spangled Banner. It's Surty versus America. If anything, this is like Russia or something. The Russian flag or something along those lines. Because right now, they're getting kind of smacked around as much as possible. And Surty, he's got Space Dad Shiro here. I don't even know if Warren's going to be able to stop this at all.
I have not gotten to yell Space Dad Shiro's name yet. Maybe it'll be in good or bad terms. We'll have to see. They have just bullied this Baron buff into the base of Blaze.
That is, and I mean, Link here on the side, he's had a tough start this game. They haven't really played to him at all, which is, again, something that I highlighted as being necessary for their success here. Tomio's gotten more than enough support from his team. Aspect is popping off in this game. We still have yet to even mention the fact that there's a ticking time bomb with these Moonstone Renewer Staff of Flowing Waters to get Aspect to be just an obscene level of damage in this game. So now, like I said, I'm starting to run low on ideas here for how it is that a new Blaze even comes back into this one. They may be able to take a fight, but this was similar to what happened in Game 1. Compositions were even kind of similar to what happened in Game 1. The difference was the lead never even got this far before fights started breaking out. 11,000 gold at 22 minutes was way bigger than the 4,000 gold shift that we had when they did win a fight. I do not think that this is very well primed here for a new Blaze.
It is not, and it's kind of a hole that they've dug themselves, and I can't help but see the attempts to climb out of that hole, right? They've made some serious attempts here, but it just wasn't enough. That hole was too deep, and now with the... Honestly, I'm just going to coin it again, or talk about it again. The Tomio Death Squad at this point is just back and live and well.
That it is, especially when he's on something like the Rengar. I would have preferred lethality. I will continue to press that into the end. Gourd Ranker is fine, but I like lethality a lot more because it's a lot more fun. But they're bearing down in pretty much every lane at this point. Surty's on his own in his side lane. They've got 4 members, and you can't attack either.
Why is Link in the side lane?
I try to get stuff back, man.
I guess. They're committing in mid lane, though. That's going to be a nice death charge. Shockwave's flashed out by her. Look at these moves! Raheem has got the quick feet. I like it. That is very impressive. Now here comes the Requiem. Surdy goes in, blows up Raheem, but he's going to get blown up himself. They're actually able to defend this a little bit. That culling is going to go straight into the Baroned up minions. They're able to take Alorum. We still don't have a bag from Link. I just think he's given up at this point. We'll see if the defense can come out from the remaining 3 members of Blaze. As Raheem gets low, that's going to be it. Couple more kills going through, and Link is just taking the tower. That is an unfortunate end to the Blaze season, as it will be EGP claiming their rightful spot in the grand finals, and they do so in dominating fashion, Rebel.
And we had so many thoughts about what these 2 teams were going to be able to do. We thought about EGP, we thought about a new Blaze, we thought, okay, can a new Blaze even come out and take a game against EGP? Because we all thought that that was going to be the case. EGP was unanimously the favorite. The question is, how good of a game do they have? This was clean performances 2 in a row. Game 2 and 3, amazing sets. A 15-minute forfeit, 23-minute victory where you have one of these players tilted out of his mind. And first game, there's one bad fight, but outside of that, that was pretty dominant too. For a team that's now going into finals, I'd say this is about what you needed to look like a part.
Exactly, and that's what we set out at the beginning of the day. We said, I mean, they've got all this running behind them. They're the last sole survivor of the organizations from the LCS that were trying to make these developmental rosters. They were able to come through, make it to the semifinals after being off for a week almost, Rebel, and then coming in here in such dominating fashion. They are ready to take on the challenge that will be either Barrage or Solafide in the grand finals.
I think they will as well. That's certainly going to be a game in its own right, but big stuff coming out here, and everyone's showing up in multiple games. First off,
I
creative with the
agree.
strategy. The fasting Senna and the double Moonstone Anur bot lane with the Seraphine is
Twice.
a terrifying thing.
Yeah, it
They could
is.
get nothing into that bottom lane whatsoever. Aspect looked amazing in all three of his games. I thought he was good on the Syndra, even though it wasn't a phenomenal pick. I thought the
Yeah.
Orianna in this third game was incredible and was doing great things. Tomio still flexing his champion pool, flexing his muscles on every other jungler, and Surti is just Surti. He is the best top laner. Let's just be real, like Surti is the best top laner.
Yeah, I agree. And looking at this series as a whole,
Mhm.
you can give nothing but props to EGP, but I also got to give a round of applause to New Blaze, to ANEW as a whole. They were able to put 3 rosters in that were able to make it decently far. They've got some points under their belt from the first proving ground circuit or tournament. And I just have to say, like, this was not indicative of their total performance throughout the season. I think a lot of things went into making this game a lot harder than it would have been, but they were able to show up in other parts of the season that makes me really confident in this roster, and I hope to see them going forward.
What do you think about the game, Mr. Ravish?
Well, I was waiting for you to go intro me because I don't want to interrupt your flow.
Oh,
Y'all
if
were
you want, you
talking
can
about.
go silent. I'll give you a better intro.
You go silent.
Okay, all right, cool.
Okay, you ready? All right. Now that we've closed out the game, let's hear from the most ravishing man on the minternet, Mr. Ravish.
The
How are you
minternet?
doing this fine day?
Oh, c'est moi. Le...
Oh no.
Oh, gracias, amigos. You know what? Here,
Oh my-
I'm gonna say one thing and one thing only. Here,
Mhm.
it truly is 30 versus the entire world, doesn't it? Man?
That's the one come away from this. I take it.
there's nothing you can't convince me of. It is so unequivocally ingrained in my brain that the entire team was fighting. Everything's going down bot lane. 30's just kick, free tower. Oh, look, a card that's more gold for me. Oh, thank you, monsieur. And then just Nautilus, they're like, now I know I should help here, but I don't know what I should do. I feel like I should be pulling or something, but I think I'll just watch from behind and just see what happens. It was a fun time. It was definitely a fun time to go ahead and watch here. Now, look, now I know what I thought of it, which was, oh my god, EGP is so good at this game. But you know what, Rebel? I'll go ahead and go to you. What really went wrong there for ANEW Blaze?
I think ANEW Blaze lost all of their identity. It felt like communication was breaking down to some extent. The number of times that plays looked like one or two people were committing and somebody else was not committing was there. But to me, again, they never got to a place. Actually, game one they got to a place in which they could have gotten to a late game carry position. But again, Raheen didn't really get enough gold in order to do so, and they never played around their jungler, Link, City Witty, whatever you want to call him. He never got to a place in which they actually had support for him. Instead, it was always Tomio who was getting the plays. It was always them making the first step, and everything else being a response from the side of ANEW Blaze. It's not how they played. That's not how they beat their sister team. That's not how they played the rest of the split. That's not where they found success. And I'm upset that they come out in one of the most important, if not the most important game they've played up to this point, and they couldn't get it done.
Unfortunately not, though, but I believe Lord Kellex has told us that, ANEW does play for content, so let's hope he got enough content out of it today.
Please.
They were able to enjoy themselves. Now, Lena, go ahead and ask you, did you enjoy yourself here? Did you think there was enough content today? And talk to me a bit more about how EGP just ran this game home.
Yeah, man. I thought it was a fun series for sure. I always like yelling at some video games or over some video games rather.
Yep,
But
yep.
I echo Rebel's sentiment. I'm a little bit disappointed. I mean, I know what these guys have shown up at least on the Blaze side throughout the season, so I'm a little bit disappointed at that aspect. But I'm so happy for EGP that has kind of proven that their system works and that they are able to put in the work and put in the effort to come out with a successful result. And if anything, this capitalizes on what they've built up to this entire season, especially the ways they like to play. It was on just absolute show here tonight in this series. They know exactly what they want to do. The decisions around the map are so clean and so good, and they just execute so nicely.
Now, with that all being said here, folks, we do have an interview almost ready here coming from Mad Magical and Tomio as well. So we're going to go set that up. Just give us about 30 seconds. But thank you to Mr. Double Fox and Mr. Lennon White for some fantastic cast. Countdown from 30. We'll see you right back here on Resin.
Hey, welcome back. I'm Mad Magical, and I'm joined in by Tomio, the jungler of Evil Genius's Prodigy, after a 3-0 stomp. And you know, it is a generic question, but Tomio, I gotta ask you, how does it feel after winning so decisively?
Uh, Honestly, it feels good, I guess. Well, I guess when everybody wins, they feel good.
That's
Obviously,
what I'm
right?
saying. It's
Yeah,
a generic
yeah.
question.
Honest,
I respect
yeah.
that, but honestly, I kind of feel I'm already getting the vibe from you off of that, where you're just like, yeah, we were able to win pretty well, and so it's a little underwhelming. Am I getting that right?
I'll say that again.
So I was just saying, so from the vibe I'm getting from you is you guys were able to win really convincingly. So
Yeah.
it almost seems like you're a little underwhelmed with your victory.
I think I'm just tired.
Ha, that's fair. I will give
Maybe
you
I don't
that.
have. Yeah.
Then why
Maybe
don't
I
we
don't have
make
as
this
much
quick for
energy.
you? I'll make this nice and quick for you. Let's go to the next question, kind of talk about some of the picks that came in from that one. So, one of the picks that was definitely a spicy one was that game 3. You picked the Rengar. Karthus was on the other side, and we know that Link likes to play a lot of Rengar. Was that a little
Yeah.
bit of BM coming in from you?
Um, Not really.
No.
They like they just the Olaf was like the 80 junglers are banned, like Olaf and Graves.
Hmm.
So I was like, there's like, and they banned Kindred too, I think. So
Yes,
and
they did.
Pantheon. So I was like, okay, it's either we're playing Nocturne, Rengar, or what's the other Rek'Sai? And I guess like Rengar is the only option that's like the best fit for the game.
Right. Right. I
So I
was
was
about
like,
to say into
"Mm,
Karthus, it's such
yeah,
an
yeah,
easy matchup, and you proved
yeah,
that. I mean, honestly, you proved an immensely amazing jungler in that series. That
yeah,
3-0. I mean, game 2, I could talk praises on you forever with your Hecarim pick and how you're
hmm
able to play that one. But I feel like we should talk more about the team and get a vibe on that one. So why don't we talk about the Seraphine and Senna pick? Now, this is an interesting one because people remember, you know, the Sona Senna lane and how strong that was. But I feel like
yeah,
the Seraphine Senna plays really well into how EGP as a whole likes to play because they like to play around you and Surdy topside being able to have this carry. And so, is this the strategy that you guys plan to go for the future?
um, I guess I could say like it's like one of the play styles we can play. It's like not like it's like we just do it
Right.
just to do it. I guess
Mhm.
if that makes sense. I don't know.
No, no,
It's
no.
like
Not.
yeah,
It's like I
hmm
said, it plays into how you guys play as a
yeah,
team.
yeah,
And so
like
that's why I respect that kind of play and how you guys play, and that's also why I wanted to be able to have an interview with you. Me and the casters all agreed because while Surdy, you know, he's been doing well. You have been blowing things up and doing so well, and that's why I want to applaud you
yeah.
on how
Thank
decisive
you.
that semifinals was. And so this is where the next question normally is kind of generic. You know, people talk about, oh, the other semifinals is going on. Who do you think is going to win? I don't really want to do that. Instead,
Yeah.
I want to feel how you're going to feel going into the finals, regardless of who's winning. A lot of people have kind of thrown EGP to the side and said, you know, Solifida and Barrage, those are the hype teams to be watching for. But I want your opinion on how you guys feel going into the finals, regardless of who you face against. How does Evil Genius's Prodigy feel they're going to be able to contend in the finals?
Honestly, um, I guess I can say how I feel because I can't really
Yes, that's fine.
tell what my teammates feel because I'm not their bodies.
That's
I
fine.
guess going into finals, I mean, I'm not really scared or anything. I guess you shouldn't, in general. Like
No.
you just go clear mindset or head going to the game.
Mhm.
You just if you just play the game, we shouldn't be scared of like the players, and I
Mhm.
think we should like win it all.
You think, or you're going to?
We're going to
This
win.
is where I'm
Okay,
going to
maybe
push you.
maybe I shouldn't have said think. Yeah, I shouldn't have said
You're
think,
going
but yeah,
to?
yeah. Well,
There we go.
yeah,
That's fine. I like hearing that, Tomio. I want some confidence after you guys dominated in these semifinals. You guys were so impressive. I have high hopes of you guys going into the finals. I hope you all have high hopes going into the finals as well. But thank you, Tomio, for
yeah.
that interview. It was great getting to talk to you. Do you have any last words before we head out for the night?
Thank you. Uh, I guess thank you for interviewing me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, and
Yeah, of course.
I hope it was a good series to watch. I guess.
I'm sure you guys will definitely impress everyone, be able to show everyone in the amateur, the academy, the LCS circuit, how you guys are all transforming as players. I look forward to it, and thank you everyone here at Risen. Join us tomorrow for the finals, or join us right now over on the other channel for the semifinals that is still going on between Solifida and Barrage. But as for us, we'll have a wonderful night, and I hope you guys do too.